who were killed in a fatal crash in Inishowen in the early hours of Monday morning. The pair from the Glen Ely area were both aged 18. They will be laid to rest in separate services tomorrow. Tardigan has more.
Alana Harkin has been described as a shining light. Carndonagh Community College says her infectious smile, boundless enthusiasm and unwavering determination left an indelible mark on all who had the privilege of knowing her. In remembering their past pupil, they say Alana possessed a kindness and empathy that was unparalleled. Moville Community College has paid tribute to student Thomas Gallagher. In a social media post, the school says this was a time of great opportunity and excitement for Thomas, whilst getting ready to embark on the next stage of his life. He's described as loved and respected by his teachers and peers for his fantastic sense of humour and a smile that could brighten up any room. Meanwhile, actress Roma Downey has expressed her sympathies to the family of Thomas, his mother and niece of the Derry native.
The family of Jason Corbett says the jail sentences for his killers are not a moment for celebration. His then wife Molly Martins and her father beat the 39-year-old to death at his US home in 2015. They've received prison sentences of between 4 and 6 years to include time already served. Jason's family say they may not be satisfied with the sentence but have thanked the authorities involved. Journalist Brian Carroll says the victim impact statements from his 2 children were very emotional.
Honestly, it's one of the most dramatic and moving things I've witnessed in my life, to see these 2 kids, Jason Corbett's children, Jack and Sarah, stand up and address the court and address Tom and Molly Martins and finally get a chance to tell their side of the story after waiting for 8 years to get justice for their father.
Weather now today will be cool and breezy with sunny spells and scattered blustery showers. Some will be heavy and prolonged and may cause spot flooding, hail and thunder possible also. Highest temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. It's 5 minutes past 9 on this Thursday, the 9th of November. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show. How are you all keeping? I do hope you're very well indeed, and it's good to have you on board. We want you involved as well. Your WhatsApps and texts to 086 60 25,000. Your WhatsApp voice notes to that number as well. You can give us a call on 07491 25,000 or email comments@highlandradio.com. Okay, it's a busy morning for newspapers, so let's see what's making some of the headlines and some of the stories inside those papers. Let's start with the Derry People Donegal News. Guardian Letterkenny have stepped up a major initiative to combat the rise in fraud activity, which has seen students targeted by criminals to act as money mules. Instances of fraud have surged since the COVID-19 pandemic, with students among those being exploited by criminals to launder the proceeds of crime. Nationally, nearly €17.5 million was transferred illegally through so-called money mule accounts between January and June of this year. The Tyrconnell Tribune this morning. The plan to have the Milford Garda district brought under the control of the base in Letterkenny has been put on ice for the time being. That's according to the paper's sources. It was initially expected that the amalgamation would have been completed before last summer. That schedule was then pushed out until September, but it's now emerged that it will not happen in 2023. The latest news is that Milford will remain a standalone district until the middle of 2024 at the earliest, at which stage the dust will have settled on the fallout from the local and European elections, and politicians out on the campaign will have dodged the awkward questions about downgrading the Milford Garda station. The Milford district reaches from Fanet Head to Burton Port and back in to Dukery, Glenties and Minaroy, across some of Ireland's most rugged mountains, hundreds of miles of open coastline, ideally suited for importing cocaine and heroin. So the suggestion there, very firm suggestion, is that decision is being pushed back purposely till after the European and local elections. The Derry News this morning. People in Derry relied on over 3,500 emergency food parcels in the last 6 months, new data shows. Derry City and Strabane received 3,000 397 food parcels from Trussell Trust between April and September this year. A total of 1,357 went to children, 2,040 to adults. In the same period, the year before, 3,628 food parcels were delivered, with 1,595 going to children and 2,033 going to adults there. On to the Nationals now, and this is the Irish Independent, and there's been a massive jump in the number of you out there taking out loans to buy cars. Close to 16,000 loans to purchase vehicles were taken out in the April to June period. This is a jump of 36% when compared with the same 3-month period last year, according to the Banking and Payments Federation. It is the highest level of borrowing to buy vehicles since banks started recording the data in 2020. However, the actual level of debt to buy cars is much higher, as the bank's data excludes finance deals provided by car sales firms, hire purchase and leasing details. The surge in bank lending to buy expensive new cars shows that some people have managed to escape the effects of the cost of living crisis, which has seen energy prices, food costs and mortgage rates jumps. And what that says to me, and it's something that's mentioned on this programme from time to time, is that there is kind of like a two-track situation in this country. There are clearly lots of people that are doing really, really quite well and have the resources, but unfortunately there's an awful lot of people who don't have enough money to heat their homes and feed themselves. There's a lot of inequality, or whatever the correct word is, in this country at the moment. The Irish Times, Molly Martins and her father Thomas Martins have been sentenced to serve between 7 months and 2.5 years in prison over the killing of Limerick businessman Jason Corbett in August 2015. The two were led away in handcuffs from a court in Lexington, North Carolina yesterday afternoon following an 8-day sentencing hearing. Judge David Hall imposed a sentence of a minimum of 51 months and a maximum of 74 months in prison. However, they will receive credit for the 44 months they spent in jail after a trial in 2017 for second-degree murder before those sentences were quashed by an appeal court. The Irish, it's actually the Daily Mail this morning, tells us that Irish women among the biggest binge drinkers, I beg your pardon. Wine o'clock culture is being blamed for it. Irish women are among the biggest binge drinkers in the world thanks to a growing culture of wine o'clock. More than 20% of Irish women admitted having 6 or more drinks in one sitting at some point over the last month. This is almost twice the average rate of 12% among the 33 countries surveyed and places them 5th highest. An even greater proportion of Irishmen, 29%, have drunk heavily in the last month, putting them 12th on the list. The Organisation of Economic Cooperation and Development, Health at a Glance 2023 report warns that alcohol increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, liver, psoriasis and certain cancers. So in women, the percentage who reported having 6 or more drinks in one sitting in the last month, Denmark's the highest at 26%, the UK 25.5%, Luxembourg 23.5%, Germany 22.2%, and then Ireland at 20.3%. But in comparison, say the likes of France, it's down as low as 12.2%. In Sweden, in fact, 11.2%. So the percentage of men reported having 6 or more drinks in one sitting in the last month. Top of the list there, Romania, well over half of the men there. Denmark, 48.6%. Luxembourg, 46%. We're well down, 30.4%. It's still quite a high figure, but there are many ahead of us. Lithuanian men, 28.3% of them had 6 or more drinks in one sitting over the last month. On to the Farmers' Journal this morning. And a 6-month delay in Ireland's derogation cut is possible, MEP Colin Markey has said. The MEP met European Commissioner for Environment on Monday, where the Commissioner insisted that no change would be made to the 220 kilogram limit, but he was very open to flexibility in how it would be imposed, Markey said. The news comes as the IFA has questioned the legal basis of the Department of Agriculture's nitrates derogation mid-term review. The review led to the cut in the nitrates derogation limit for large parts of Ireland, and we covered that map here on this programme a number of weeks back. On to the Star this morning. The department responsible for RTE was flooded with angry letters from the public demanding the station's management be sacked, asking why Ryan Tubridy had been scapegoated and with promises to boycott the TV licence. So some people are suggesting that the reason they didn't pay the TV licence was not because they're upset with how RTE is being run. Oh, sorry, not upset with the RTE payment scandal, but because they got rid of Ryan Tubridy. Letters sent to Minister for Tourism, Culture and the Arts, Catherine Martin, reveal the depth of feeling about RTE spending controversy, with one saying they were delighted the cesspit in Montrose had been exposed. Others were highly critical of Ryan Tubridy, saying his name was tarnished and that he was never worth the salary he was paid in the first place. An angry email said it didn't really matter to the people whether his salary was fully declared or not. It was the amount of the salary in times when listeners can't pay bills, can't eat properly and can't pay their mortgages. We've been tracking this story, so just to give you an update, it happened in the Dáil last night and it's in the Sun this morning, amongst other papers. The selling of vapes to under 18s will be made illegal before Christmas. Legislation aiming to bring in an outright ban on the sale of vapes to children took another step in the Dáil last night. Shops caught selling vapes to children will be hit with a fine of up to €4,000 or 6 months in prison. It's effectively, there's not a great deal of money in this shop, so I'd imagine it'll effectively wipe out the sale of vapes to young people. The new legislation will also ban adverts for vapes within 200 metres of a school and on public transport. So it's past the Dáil, it goes to the Seanad and then on to the President, and the Health Minister is optimistic that it'll all be done and dusted prior to Christmas. So it'll be interesting to see what impact that has on vaping figures in young people next year. And I'm not too sure about this. I think this is really quite dangerous, but I thought I'd read it out anyway. It's in the Irish Daily Mirror. The bottom line is I don't think there's any safe level to drink. If you've drank, you shouldn't be driving, should you? But a smartphone app will be able to tell if you're too drunk to drive by listening to your voice. Sensors in the smart devices could help determine a person's level of alcohol intoxication based on changes in their voice, say scientists. Participants in a study were each given a weight-based amount of alcohol and randomly assigned a series of tongue twisters, one before drinking and another one every hour for up to 7 hours. They were asked to read the tongue twister aloud, and a smartphone was placed on a table to record their voices. It went through its process that it did and was able to determine whether or not they were drunk. Researchers at Stanford Medicine in the US and the University of Toronto in Canada conducted the study involving 18 adults aged 21 or over. Professor Brian Soffoletto said, the accuracy of our model genuinely took me by surprise, but I think that is pretty dangerous because you could have people relying on an app to determine whether or not they should drive, when I think we all know that regardless of your voice, there are times you shouldn't be drinking and driving at all, should you? 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and text to that number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Right, we're going to get a full recap of how the meeting went yesterday between senior representatives from Cialta and Donegal GPs concerned at services at Letterkenny University Hospital. That's on the way.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Jason Quigley here. Professional boxing is back in Donegal. Rumble in the Hills Pro Show takes place November 18th in the Aura Leisure Centre, Letterkenny. Irish Olympian Joe Ward headlines the bill, which also sees lightweight Celtic title fight between James McGivern and Josh Stanford, with many other top-class fighters on the card. Tickets available now at elitesportspromotions.co.
Adult Safeguarding Day takes place this month. Safeguarding involves keeping ourselves free from harm and protecting our rights. This includes all adults planning ahead to reduce the risk of adult abuse.
Go-to actions that we can all take to plan ahead are to make an enduring power of attorney, designate a health representative, and choose who can assist with decisions. From Safeguarding Ireland, supported by the HSE.
Get informed at safeguardingday.ie.
Show the Monday Blues the door. Kick them into touch. Banish them for good. with a wee treat at Kelly's Diner in Letterkenny. Maybe a coffee and scone, or an all-day breakfast, or a burger and chip. With American-style booth seating, fast and friendly service, a menu packed with tasty choices at great value, and loads of parking, it's a great stop off any day of the week. Take back your Mondays at Kelly's Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
In this week's RTE Guide, the rise of crime calls Carla O'Brien from Riverdance to the RTE newsroom. Our free 16-page Christmas recipe collection brimming with seasonal delights. From Dundee Dreams to Succession, Brian Cox's amazing journey. Everything and more. RTE Guide, on sale now.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual office address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save your business hundreds, possibly thousands on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time is 9:18. You're very welcome back to the programme. Well, on the 6th of October, 78 GPs from right across Donegal put pen to paper to demand action as it relates to the services at Letterkenny University Hospital. We are a group of general practitioners working in County Donegal. We're coming to you, your officials and others, copied into this letter with grave concerns about the emergency department at Letterkenny University Hospital. We're seeking an external review and action plan urgently regarding access to the department and acute services. So fast forward a month and a significant meeting took place yesterday. We're going to learn what went on now with a general practitioner, Dr. Pádraig McGuinness. Good morning to you and thanks so much for your time today.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I am good, I'm good. So who attended the meeting yesterday, Pádraig?
So there was a group of GPs from across the county, about 8 of us, and then there was senior management from CELTA, including Tony Canavan, Pat Nash, who's head of clinical services for them, and some of their community managers were there as well as Sean Murphy from LUH. So
as well as the concerns GPs had expressed and then further concerns from consultants who also warned of a potential service collapse, in a conversation I've had too, in fact, with Tony Canavan, he pretty much accepted every point that was made, right? So that's great. We're all in agreement. So now we need to find out how things are improved. And there are a couple of measures that are already in place, but the consultants say that doesn't really go to deal with the core issues that we're talking about. So what was discussed at the meeting yesterday?
Well, I suppose we're GPs, right? We're not politicians, we're advocates. So we don't really want to have to do this. We're doing it because we're really concerned about patient safety, and we're concerned that our patients aren't getting the same level of care that they're getting in other hospitals across the country. And that's what we articulated to them yesterday. So we started off by spending 40 minutes at the meeting, giving them evidence-based stories, giving them stories of patients in A&E that are our patients, who waited for long periods of time, who had worse outcomes that they shouldn't have had because of what happened to them in A&E, or what happened to them waiting for cancer services, or waiting for appointments, or waiting for chemotherapy, or all the things that we know are an issue in LUH. And we didn't let them actually come back to us for about 40 minutes until we fully outlined our case. And, you had Tony Canavan on yourself, Greg, and frankly, there was quite a lot of waffle, really, and quite a lot of non-committals and stuff. So we wanted to ensure that for our 40 minutes, we made sure that they understood the issues and concerns that we had. We then spent some time discussing some of our asks, and those asks remain the same. One is that we need our medical assessment unit up and running and protected with GP access. The second thing we need urgent access to outpatient appointments, including for suspected cancers, in a timely fashion. And the third thing we're still asking for is for an external review of the hospital. And actually, from the meeting yesterday, Greg, it was frank and honest and open, and it was fraught at times, if I'm honest, because there was at times denial of some of the issues that were there, which was really disheartening, because there were times when we were raising concerns and local management were telling us it's the first time they've heard them, which is really worrying, because we've told them loads of times before.
Can you give us an example of that?
Every single day, Greg.
Can you give us an example of that, whereby something that generally would seem to be common knowledge but came as a surprise to local management?
Some of it was particularly around the urgent access to outpatient appointments for cancer patients. So we heard yesterday, actually, that, patients who we didn't even realize should be going to Galway now for cancer investigations should be going to Galway. Like ridiculous stuff where, where they're telling us that, oh, there's no issue in that department or there's no issue in this department. And I don't want to get into specifics because to do that,
identifies individuals
who work in those
yeah.
departments. But, hearing from them that, there's no issue in that department, yet we know from our own patients who can't get in, who have suspected cancers, who, we end up trying to send to neighbouring hospitals to get seen. And then when we tried to bring that up yesterday, there was concerns, that was the first time they'd ever heard this, even though that we have said it to them in writing previously, including with specific examples. And then we have, you've had them on your show, Greg, and, we know that they've been raised locally by consultants as well. So I suppose what we said to them yesterday is the first place we have to get to is not a place of denial. We have to get to a place of these are all the issues that we have, and there is a myriad of them. And where do we go from here? So I think we were clear on that with them. And, it was clear to us yesterday that there's a shift this time. There's something different, actually. And the something different is that this is the first time really that we have got all the GPs together, that we have all the consultants together, by and large, or lots of them, that we have their patients behind us, and that we've gone to. The reason we went to the top is because there's actually pressure coming down the tracks now. HIQA arrived in the hospital during the week as well to do an unannounced inspection of ED, which we welcome, because it's clear, and we put this yesterday to Tony Canavan, why has there been no response to the HIQA inspection of the ED before, including the serious letter of concern that he received from HIQA, and why has that not been actioned on? And there was no answer for that.
So where in going forward, it's the responsibility here, if you know what I mean. Like, are you sitting on the same side as the table as local hospital management? Not necessarily literally, but because there is some confusion often, sometimes amongst people like myself and the general public. I mean, who's sitting around this table where? Like, were you taken by surprise at all by the local management? Did it encourage your faith in them? Did it weaken it? Just to answer that question so we're all clear on that, please, Porg.
I hope we're all on the one side of the table, Greg, if I'm honest. So we should be. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're all in this for the same reason, and we're all in it for patient safety, and we're all in it for better outcomes. So I hope we're all on the same side of the table. I think everyone has different pressures, and everyone is trying to manage budgets, and everyone is trying to manage staff and manage resources as best they can. Letterkenny has been left behind for years and years, and the figures show that, and it goes back to actually pre-HSE times where Letterkenny was defunded for years and years and years. And during, and Sean Murphy alluded to this yesterday, that during the post-recovery years when actually we should have been building up our hospital, we were just standing still because we were recovering from the floods. So I'm not going to say, Greg, that we're not on the same side as anybody. We're all supposed to be on the same side, and we're all trying to advocate for patients as best we can. And my hope is that yesterday we articulated concerns that were taken on board and were minuted in an official meeting with the CELTA group, and we're hoping they're going to act on them.
Since I last spoke to you, people now don't have access any longer to endocrinology services in Letterkenny University Hospital. Dermatology services as well. You talked about the early diagnosis of cancer. They're being sent to Sligo. The consultant in Sligo says, I can't do this work anymore. And people are now being referred from Sligo to Roscommon and Sligo to Galway. So in terms of some of the stuff we've talked about in the past, now this is not the ED, but it's all part of the one facility. It's actually worsened since GP sent this letter in to at least two very, very important areas. Like, I know people through the programme and personally that are literally crapping themselves, if you pardon the expression, because they don't know where to go now. They were midway through some care and they just don't know what to do now. And I'll tell you what they're actually doing now, considering whether or not they're going to put their hand in their pocket and pay privately to keep in contact with that same consultant. That's a terrible situation people are finding themselves in, Porg.
Absolutely. Actually, one of the really worrying things that came out of the meeting yesterday was some of the comments from Tony Canavan about sustainable services for Letterkenny. And I know he'd said previously in the press things like it's a lifestyle choice to live in Donegal. It is not a lifestyle choice to live in Donegal. We live here because we work here, because our families are here, because our farms are here, because our businesses are here, because we grew up here. That's why we live in Donegal. And we deserve the same care and attention and services that anywhere else in the country deserves. You're quite right. Dermatology is absolutely on fire, and we cannot get patients into dermatology. And most of my patients are paying €200 and €300 and €400 privately to go and see dermatologists. And that's to go and travel to see them, as well as to pay privately for them. It's, you've mentioned endocrinology is a big problem. Neurology is a big problem because the two consultants are completely overwhelmed, covering huge distances and areas. I'll give you one statistic that'll tell you everything you need to know. There's one dermatologist for Sligo, Letterkenny, half of North Mayo, and half of North Roscommon. One dermatologist in Letterkenny, or in Sligo, and he works out of Sligo. There are 6 dermatologists in Galway, together with a number of trainee dermatologists in Galway. So that will tell you what CELTA thinks about Letterkenny. It tells you that, they have 3 appointments, 3 funded posts. You can't just announce funding for a post and then do nothing about it. You have to go and actively go and find a dermatologist somewhere.
Can I just remind listeners of what that dermatologist you talked of said when Dr. Padmore retired? The hospital manager in Letterkenny did not think it worthwhile to let me know about that retirement. I found out indirectly. I've had no contact despite new patient referrals being redirected to me. Delivering a dermatology service to the Northwest is CELTA's responsibility, not mine. Adding, delayed diagnosis impacting melanoma survival, acne teenagers scarred, eczema, psoriasis patients' lives destroyed because of an inability to gain access to care rests on management's shoulders. He can't even get an examination light to continue his work. He's been looking at it for 2 years. He's got 4,000 patients in total. Only urgent cases are being seen coming off that list. And they're expecting him to absorb Letterkenny University Hospital's work when he simply can't do so. And I know that's a more broader point, but I just want to remind listeners of what that one person you referred to said. And he effectively said, and you can read between the lines, it's going to be a case that all dermatology services are going to be out of Galway University Hospital very quickly. I'm not sure if he's suggesting that he can't continue with the workload he has or what's being said. Now, funding is a big issue. The levelling up situation. Pádraig, Tony Canavan, in my conversation with him, wanted to look at statistics slightly different to the way you might or politicians might, in that he says the funding for Letterkenny University Hospital, and he argued the point, it's equal to that of Sligo University Hospital. But obviously that doesn't factor in the patient and the hospital workload. But it concerned me a little bit, and no disrespect to Mr. Canavan, he was good enough to make himself available. But I'm not saying he was playing with the figures, but it's if the top people are looking at figures like that and say, well, Letterkenny and Sligo, they're equally funded. It worries me.
Worries us, Greg, too. And yesterday, Dr. Charlie McManus, GP in Litter, really put it hard to Tony Canavan repeatedly during the meeting yesterday to answer that question. And he didn't answer it, and he wouldn't answer it. And we repeatedly said to him, our hospital's on fire and you're telling us funding is not an issue. Now, he said on a number of occasions, it cracks me up when I hear politicians or people who work in the HSE, particularly at management level, who comment on things as if they're not responsible for them. And Tony was doing that to you, Greg, and he did that to us yesterday, particularly in terms of funding. And when you look at it, and when you look at Sligo, and the amount of patients they see versus the amount of patients we see, that is not to say that Sligo should be defunded. It's to say that we should have a levelling up of funding to be similar. And when you have, Tony Canavan and others coming out on national and media with yourself saying it is different in Donegal, we are a Model 3.5 hospital. You are seeing patients that you probably shouldn't be seeing, that should be seen elsewhere, but geography doesn't allow it. You are very far from your Model 4 hospital. You are different, but that is not being backed up by funding. And he kept talking about manipulation of figures, but he was unable to manipulate the figures in any way that showed that we actually are getting equal funding ourselves than any of the rest of them. And when you look at any measure of funding for Letterkenny Hospital, it has been down in comparison to where it is across the CELTA group. And there's loads of examples of that. And Paul O'Connor, consultant anaesthetist in the hospital, gave an excellent presentation on this previously. And, he was given a great example, Greg, which I'm going to give to listeners because they'll understand. His example was of the very famous Father Ted quote, where these things are small, and these things are far away. Just because we're far away from Dublin and we're far away from Galway does not mean we're small. We're actually a really busy hospital, the 4th or 5th busiest hospital in the country, but 14th in terms of funding. It is completely ridiculous. And to read, when we were pushed yesterday on that, we couldn't get an answer from Tony Canavan on that. We asked him to go back and look at the levelling up figures, which we'll come back to him again. But, to read the statement yesterday from Charlie McConalogue and from the minister was just sickening. They make out that they're doing everything and that, there's so much extra funding is coming into the hospital. So it's not. I mean, the reality is it's not. And I'll tell you how it's not. Because your patients who are my patients, your listeners, who are sitting in A&E today, who've been sitting there for 24 hours in a hard chair, they're the ones that know that funding isn't there.
Yeah, and we also know where an extra 30-odd million go. It's to stand still. We're not stupid. And the days of maybe when people would swallow that stuff are long gone now. And just in areas too, like the philosophy seems to be that we need to provide services in Galway because that's the safe place to do them. You keep hearing this as if it's actually really to protect us. And I think the example was given on urology, and it was said here, and thankfully I had the information. Yeah, but, people get referred to Galway because that's where they can get the best service. But it's an 8-10 day wait for referrals to Galway. So that system's not really, really working. So if it is about getting the best of care in Galway, if you didn't challenge it, you would think that it's almost instant and everything's great and okay, well, maybe that's the way it's going to be. Was there anything from this meeting that there's any pathway, Pádraig, that you can see now to things improving? Because some of it seems like banging a head off a brick wall stuff. So I wonder from some of the assessment of the answers you got, I can't see how we get through that and on to whereby we start seeing meaningful change. Let's not forget, Michael Sugrue said that this was a dire situation. There needed to be a plan put in place within 8 weeks to offset the risk of a service collapse. So this is really time sensitive. We're not looking at 24, 25, 26 here, Pádraig. So did you get anything from the meeting that gave you any encouragement?
Yes and no. I guess the first thing to say is that we wouldn't let them away with anything. Okay, so this was a really frank meeting, and we weren't plumoshed, and we weren't accepting things. We weren't accepting incomplete answers. The first thing is we did get a commitment eventually that the medical assessment unit in some guys will be open before the end of December. When we pushed that to be brought forward, we were met with all sorts of nonsense. But they have told us that by the end of
Before
December.
You move forward, could you explain to the listeners what a medical assessment service is, where it be located, what it's used for, just so everyone fully understands everything, Pádraig?
Yeah, sure. Well, I can tell you what it should be. Okay. The devil will be in the detail of what it looks like when it is open. I mean, I've heard this morning that they're planning to staff it from current medical staff, which is not the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be a standalone department because otherwise it just gets subsumed into the rest of things. A medical assessment unit is supposed to sit alongside ED, but is not ED. And the idea is that if I have a patient today, for example, who I think has a clot in their leg, who is fit and well and does not need to be admitted to hospital, does not need to be taking up nursing care, does not need to be sitting on a hard trolley or a hard chair, that those patients can go by appointment in the next 72 hours to a medical assessment unit, have 1 or 2 investigations done, be seen by a doctor who can read those investigations, give us an answer and send them home. Mm-hmm. So that patient doesn't require admission, doesn't take up a bed. Okay.
Right, okay.
At the minute, some of those patients are taking up beds for 7 days is what our ED consultant colleagues are telling us. So that's the first thing. It's not a panacea, and that was said yesterday by Sean Murphy and others, and it's not a panacea, but it is a cog in the wheel that we need. So that's the medical assessment unit. In terms of other things, we did get a commitment from Pat Nash that he is going to look at in the next 4 weeks. He's going to look at pathways for urgent outpatient appointments for patients who have suspected cancers and other serious conditions. So cardiology is a big one of those. At the minute, if you come in with chest pain, but you're not having a heart attack, if I put you in an urgent waiting list, it's 4 years to be seen by cardiology. It's 4 years for an outpatient echo. You can't wait that long. So the alternative is I have to send you to the emergency department to get seen. And then you sit on a trolley for 7 days waiting for an outpatient echo. If you've got new irregular heartbeat, I have no option because you'll never get an echo otherwise, which is a jelly scan of your heart. You'll never get that unless you're admitted. And so we got commitments yesterday from Pat Nash that he would look at that in the next 4 weeks. He is a cardiologist himself, so he is a clinician. He understands these things. And he said that in 4 weeks, he's going to come back to us with a plan, and we're going to hold him to that. Mm-hmm. So we're meeting them again in the first week in December. And the plan is that they will have some pathways in place that will allow for some of those emergency appointments or urgent appointments to be seen.
Right. Someone messaged in yesterday, and I get it, Porg, that we're huffing and puffing and come back to us in 3 months and nothing will have changed. That's not a criticism of GPs or consultants. There is a limit to what can be done here, but we do have a head of steam up at the moment, I think, Porg. You guys, you said that, we're at a tipping point here now that if it comes to it, we'll go out into the streets. What's the measures? What's the key performance indicators here? How do we see that we're making progress versus that we actually need to maybe ramp things up a little bit?
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, that is the cart and the stick, isn't it? So, where does the end game be for this? For us, the first thing we need to do is let this review team that has come down from the department do a bit of their work. Okay, so the minister's obviously got the message. He's got the message from us that we're not happy and that the services are unsafe. So he's got the message, and he sent somebody down for the next 6 weeks. But we do have to give that team a chance to do their work. And we hope that when they're here, and we're asking them here publicly to make contact with the GPs who raise the issues and concerns in the first place, and we're huge stakeholders. We see the vast majority of patients in the county compared to the hospital. So we hope that they come and ask us for our input on it, and we'll be asking Tony Canavan to ask them as well. And then we're going to let them come back to us in a month's time from CELTA as well and see if they'll make any movement in those things. Greg, if we're looking at the new year and we're looking at an ED department which is overflowing, if we're looking at patients continuing to wait for 24 hours to be seen, if we're looking at no movement on cancer care services and access to urgent appointments in a timely manner, so if we're looking at all those things in January and we're no further on, Greg, that is the point where we will be ramping up. That's the point where we'll be saying to people, you need to be getting angry. And actually, Greg, you should be getting angry already. Mm-hmm. So patients who are ringing into your show, patients whose mothers spent 24 hours on a hard chair last night, you need to get angry.
Yeah.
Right?
I think people, I get that, and some of them are, Porg, but you know yourself because you deal with them, people too, some of them are just broken and the fight's gone out of them. You know what I mean? The fight's gone out of people because they're so demoralised by the situation. But you're right. Now is the time to light a fire again if that's what you want. I'm not whipping anything up, but, you're right. You have to say, hold on a second. People power is amazing, and with the backing of the GPs and the consultants, there's a real window of opportunity here, I think, anyway, Porg.
There absolutely is. And, I give it an example of that. Since we've been highlighting this stuff in October, actually, the throughput through ED has been less in October. There's been less patients waiting on trolleys and systems have got better. Behind the scenes, quietly, things have been happening. Similarly, when I was on with you the last time, was talking about an ambulance turnaround time somewhere close to an hour and a half. It's now less than an hour. So people, and that has come from the department through the ambulance service, through ED. So I think, that had come off the back of us putting pressure on. So pressure works, but pressure works when it comes from lots of different angles. So they're concerned because, they're concerned that if GPs are saying it, consultants are saying it, and if patients are saying it, but they have to hear the patient voice. And yesterday when we spoke for 40 minutes and gave them about 10 examples of patients, and we met the Sinn Féin spokesperson 2 weeks ago, hearing those heart-wrenching stories from patients, hearing that, this one guy holding up his... he described it like Gaza, and he said that he was holding up his jacket so that his wife could be examined in a corridor by a doctor. This is mental stuff in Donegal in 2023. But actually, the people who need to hear that are Charlie McConalogue. The people who need to hear that is the Minister for Health. The people who need to hear that is Tony Canavan. And they need to be hearing it from everywhere, that it's no longer good enough. And they need to hear it, either pick up the phone, ring their offices, write them a note. I mean, we have, 2 government TDs in this county, and they need to be bringing those things back to their government colleagues and saying to them, this is not good enough in Donegal. And once again, we're being left behind. And if they're not getting that message clear every single day, they're not going to act on it. And, we do appreciate that the Minister has said that he sent a task force down, but he's not here, Greg. And he should be here. I want to ask
you about that. Is the Minister not meeting with you now at almost like a distraction at this point, in that, you know what I mean, it would be a photo op and, head to one side nodding with concern, and I don't mean that disparagingly, but you know what I mean? In reality, is the work underway now, or is it still really important that the Minister does come down and hear what's going on and see what's going on?
there's a reason, Greg, that we rejected the meeting in Dublin, and that is for that very reason. Okay, but if the minister is down here in Letterkenny and listening to the consultants and listening to the GPs and listening to the patients, then surely he would bring that message back. So surely he would be able to bring that message back to the department. Yes, of course, there will be politics. And, I have no time for people who play politics with healthcare. Okay. And we have seen a lot of that over the past month. So we've no time for that. We have time for patients and for patient safety, and that's our only job. And so the minister has told us he's coming down, so we're going to hold him to that, and we're going to hold our local government minister to account for that, because he told us that they're coming down. So when he comes down, there will be a photo op and all of those things that politicians love to do, but there'll also be the frank conversations. And, anybody who would listen to the presentation that Michael Sugrue and Paul O'Connor gave, the Sinn Féin health spokesperson, it would really scare you when you lift the bonnet. But we have to do that. And you have to lift the bonnet and see the issues and concerns that the consultants within the hospital have, that the GPs outside the hospital have. And it's only by getting the minister sitting in a chair in Letterkenny and hearing that firsthand, that's the only thing that's going to get him to bring those concerns back to the department and back to the HSE. And it's interesting just that, we spent 4 or 5 days of Oireachtas committees, talking about RTE and talking about RTE and talking about RTE. No one was dying in RTE. Our patients are dying unnecessarily because they're not getting the care and attention they need. And we've had half an hour in the Oireachtas Health Committee talking about it. Okay. So I'm calling on all the politicians in the county, and I hope they're listening today, from councillors to TDs to senators, to be bringing this back to the Oireachtas and saying, hold on, my job is to represent the people of this county, and my job is to say that enough is enough. And if people are saying to me, if GPs and consultants are saying that this is not good enough, then get your bum down here, listen to them in person, and come back with solutions and answers, and facilitate CELTA. If CELTA are saying they don't have the funding for it, why isn't there funding? Why couldn't we get an answer? Why did Charlie McManus not get an answer from CELTA from that yesterday? Surely Bernard Gloucester and the minister can get that answer from Tony Canavan, the person who's CEO, who holds the purse strings for, he acts as if he doesn't, but he holds the purse strings for the CELTA group. And if he can't answer that question, then somebody higher up needs to answer the question of why Sligo University Hospital is getting 170% the amount of funding that Letterkenny has. And if we don't stop that flow down the hill now, we're going to become a community hospital that has no services in it.
Yeah, and the people affected by this is Kathleen. I'm due an appointment with Dr. Padmore, got no notice. If I have to attend Sligo, I'll have to stop going because I'm 71 years old and I can't walk far and can't afford to pay at least €100. I don't drive and I live alone. That's the worry. And I hope I'm not contributing to it, Kathleen's worry, but we have to talk about these things because we have to make sure that Kathleen's not in that position.
One of the things, Greg, I've had 2 patients who had to go to Galway for cancer treatment recently. Both of them don't drive. Both of them in their 70s. Both of them got taxis from Fanad to Galway and back. I'll tell you how much that costs: €400. So they, because no fault of their own, because they live in Fanad, because that's where they've lived for their whole lives, and they had to go to Galway for treatment, and they had to get a taxi because there's no services provided. And when I rang CELTA and asked them, okay, if you're going to have this appointment in Galway, how are you getting them there? There was no answer. So, there's simple things like that. If you're going to send everybody to Galway for appointments, if that's the centre of excellence, how are you getting them there? And do you just expect them, if you're from Loughrea, you can drive in or get a bus in or get public transport. But if you have, if you're from the back of Fanad and you have to go for dermatology, a 5-minute appointment, and you have to go to Galway for it, or urology, or,
See, what worries me, Pádraig, and I won't take up much more of your time, but what worries me is it is the €400 those people are out, but it's the people that go, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not going on that road. I'll just take my chances. And those, we don't know. We don't know how many of those are, what are their outcomes, what their end of life is like if they don't get treatment that is like, and there are people listening to this that have says, I'm not doing it. I can't face, either I can't afford the taxi or I can't face trying to make my way up and down from Galway. It's absolutely heartbreaking, Pádraig.
I mean, it is. And every GP in this county has those stories. So while we might not have a figure on the amount, we all certainly have them, and we all have those heartbreaking stories. And, lots of GPs in the county spend lots of their time trying to work out ways around it together with their public health nurses and, applying for exceptional meed payments for people. And doing lots of things in the background to try and get patients to appointments when actually we should just be seeing them in our surgeries, but we can't because we're spending time that we should be spending looking after patients, just going to get the admin done of getting patients to appointments. And that would be a simple win. The CELTA should be providing transport to Galway for patients for appointments, if that's where they're going to be sending them, or to Roscommon or to wherever that might be. But look, don't be disheartened either, Greg. Okay, so this is, we're only the start of a campaign, really. We're going nowhere. GPs were very clear on that again yesterday. We are going to be a thorn in the side of CELTA until we get movement on this, particularly on our outpatients. And, we will be backing our consultant colleagues as well, but we're going to focus on our own patch first, but we will be backing our consultant colleagues. We cannot, I live in this county too. That is my hospital as well. And we cannot allow it to be downgraded in front of our eyes. And we do need the patients to back us up. And if you want to back us up, write letters, send them to the department, send them, the minister's email address is online. So is your local TDs, so is your local minister. Write to them, get angry, tell them your experiences, and tell them that you're not going away either.
And also, can I throw it on the laps of the opposition TDs as well, or the non-government TDs? We appreciate one hearing of this, but this needs to be kept at the forefront of their agendas as well. Do you know what I mean? It's not saying, well, I raised this in mid-October when it's January the 1st. Everyone who is paid handsomely to represent this county needs to do absolutely as much as they can to back GPs, consultants, and the public to get these problems resolved. I'm not saying you're saying that, but I want to make sure that the responsibility is shared evenly here. I do understand that when you're in government, it's different. But go ahead, Parg.
Yeah, so a great example of that, Greg, is actually that when and I am apolitical, and I hate playing politics with healthcare because that's not our vibe. But when the Sinn Féin spokesperson was up, and it was telling that he was able to come and the minister was not, but that's a separate issue. When he was up, he actually explained what happened in Waterford Hospital years ago. And it was a great example, and it actually gave us a lot of hope. So I hope it gives the same hope to your listeners today as well. They had lots of the same issues, same story in Waterford 10, 15 years ago. And what they did was the GPs, the consultants, and all of the elected representatives, opposition, government, local councillors, everybody got together and everybody had the same messaging. And everyone had the same agenda, and everyone put politics aside, and everybody worked together to get things done. And the way they did that was they constantly met with the minister, they constantly met with the HSE as a group of TDs. So I'm calling on our 5 TDs in the county to do the same thing, to work together to with the minister, with the HSE, with local management, with CELTA, and with the GPs and consultants, and say, right, what are we going to do that we're not looking at the same issues in this hospital in the next 5 years that we've looked at in the last 5 years? We're not, these are problems that can be fixed. And speaking to CELTA yesterday, it was as if maybe these things aren't fixable. They are. They're fixable. They got fixed in Waterford and they could be fixed in Letterkenny too. And we're going to demand that they're fixed here too.
And as they are, the recruitment, the retention becomes less of an issue, we would hope as well, because it becomes more of an attractive place to work and to actually be able to use your skills to make people better. As always, thanks for so much of your time, Dr. Parg McGuinness. Have a wonderful day, will you? We'll be back with more after a break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Exciting news! Kia at iMotors are thrilled to introduce our stellar offers for 2024. Enjoy peace of mind with a complimentary service for the first 2 years, plus an additional 1 year if you're a Kia customer already. 1.9% finance on EV cars, 3.9% PCP, providing flexible and affordable payment options, and receive a €500 super value voucher when you purchase a Kia. These offers are designed with you in mind. Don't miss out. Visit iMotors today in Letterkenny and Malin.
Exploring your university choices? Come along to our ATU Donegal Open Day, Thursday, 9th of November from 9:30am till 2pm on our Letterkenny campus. With 10 department talks, guided campus tours and special guest speaker, the study coach, Dr. Sean Lally, joining us on the day. You can find out about all our programme offerings and see the amazing facilities ATU Donegal has to offer. Register today at atu.ie/Donegal Open Day.
Hi, Nathan Carter here, and I'm delighted to say I've just had 2 installations from Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, and I have to say their attention to detail is second to none. With their sleek design and craftsmanship, your dream kitchen is just a visit away. So why not head over to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms and let the magic begin.
Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, Donegal Town. More kitchens your way since 1996. Visit cherrymore.ie or call 97 25822 to book your free design appointment.
Donegal Intermediate Champions Downings entered the Ulster Club Championship at the quarter-final stage this Sunday in Cavan. They play Ballyhaise at Breffni Park with throw-in at 2:15pm. There will be full match commentary here on Highland as the men from Downings chase a place in the provincial semi-final. Highland's coverage of Downings in the Ulster Championship is in association with Voices Centre at Carrigard. Stay local and support local.
At An Post, we believe in giving you more power over how you bank. That's why AIB and Bank of Ireland customers can now lodge and withdraw money at any of our 900 post offices across Ireland 6 days a week. That's right, your bank is in your post office for personal and business banking alike, meaning you can bank wherever you live or work. Visit your local post office or onpost.com/everydaybanking. An Post, your money for your world. Allied Irish Banks plc and Bank of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Transform your home with a visit to McGinley's Furniture, Letterkenny, located at the Portlink Business Park just off the Port Road. You'll find a huge selection of top-quality suites, beds and mattresses, also slide robes and custom-made dining and occasional furniture, with prices to suit every budget. See the great choice for yourself at our showroom, McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. Click mcginleysfurniture.com.
ESB Networks' online account puts the power in your hands to learn more about your electricity usage from your smart meter, regardless of who your electricity supplier is. To apply for a new home or business connection to the electricity network, or to discover how you can earn rewards by taking more control of your electricity usage. Go to esbnetworks.ie to sign up for your online account. ESB Networks, energising your everything.
Tinny's Toys, Ireland's largest farm toy superstore, isn't just about farm toys. We've loads of fun outdoor toys for kids, such as electric scooters, crazy carts, electric quads, jeeps, tractors, and so much more. Hassle-free parking at the door with no traffic jams. Our Christmas club is now open too, and a wee deposit secures your item. Tinny's Toys, Leck Road, Letterkenny, or online at tinnystoys.com. Lay down.
Céad is cúis le gleo ar de éireann. Na haine bheitthe, inneal an taracóra, an tinnealra, agus céad is cúis le contúirt ar de éireann. Nuair nach dugtar áid ní smó ar chlampar na ferme agus ní thugann tú an contúirt faoi deara. Bhí áidilech a gcónaí ar innealra na ferme. Ón údar an sláinte go sábháilteachta agus an rion talmhaíochta bia agus mara, té go hsa.ie.
You can't afford to miss the unmissable sales event at Volkswagen retailers between November 10th and 20th, with % finance available on every Volkswagen model. That's % on Polo and Golf, % on our T-Roc and Tiguan SUVs, and % on our all-electric ID range. See what's behind the at Volkswagen.ie. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland Limited. Terms and conditions apply. Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Volkswagen. Order your 241 with Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny. See connellys.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, today will be cool and breezy with sunny spells and scattered blustery showers. Some will be heavy and prolonged and may cause spot flooding. Hail and thunder is possible too. Moderate to fresh and gusty south to southwest winds will veer southwest to west and ease in most areas tonight. Temperatures 7 to 9 degrees. My GP advised me to email the hospital to complain about my experience in it. I did this over a week ago and I've had no response. I wonder, does anyone in the hospital actually deal with complaints? There is an email address for complaints, but is anything actually done about the complaints? Well spoken, Dr. Pádraig McGuinness says another. And last one before the news, the ongoing issues at LUH has to be made an election issue. Hearing that doctor speak about the way we are treated by our politicians is making me very angry. The fact that Minister McConaughey's not even fighting our corner has copper fastened my resolve not to vote for him in the next election, though I'm sure he would say, if he came on this programme, that he's working on it, and he met with the minister and secured this, that and the other. Right, we are going to take a break for the news and obituary notices. Stay right where you are. Another busy hour just around the corner.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Adult Safeguarding Day takes place this month. Safeguarding involves keeping ourselves free from harm and protecting our rights. This includes all adults planning ahead to reduce the risk of adult abuse.
Go-to actions that we can all take to plan ahead are to make an enduring power of attorney, designate a health representative, and choose who can assist with decisions. From Safeguarding Ireland, supported by the HSE.
Get informed at safeguardingday.ie.
New season of fabrics have arrived in store at Fabric World Maydown. On trend and in stock, we have all the fabrics you need. Thousands of curtains, upholstery and craft fabrics at incredible stock prices. Call in for your free curtain design and quotation at Fabric World Derry. Great Euro rates for all our Euro customers.
We're turning Black Friday red in the Virgin Media Playhouse. Get 1 gig superfast reliable broadband for just €45 a month for 12 months with no activation fee. And when you add TV for €15 a month, an Xbox Series S is your Red Friday gift. Get your play underway with 1 gig broadband and TV for €60 a month. Switch in store or at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. Terms and conditions apply. See virginmedia.ie. Offer ends the 29th of November 2023.
Santa Claus speaking.
It's me, Santa, your trusty elf. I've got an urgent message from Cooney's Christmas shop.
Oh, my golly goodness. What's happening at Cooney's?
Well, Santa, they've gone all out this year. Their Christmas decor is bigger and better than ever.
Visit Cooney's Christmas shop, Letterkenny Retail Park, and feel the magic of Christmas. Santa approved.
This weekend, Naomh Conaill start what hopefully will be a lengthy spell in the Ulster Championship. On Sunday, they make their way to Breffni Park in Cavan for the provincial quarter-final against Gowna. Join the Highland team for full match commentary from the 4:30 throw-in. Coverage of Naomh Conaill in the Ulster Club Championship is with Highland Motors Letterkenny, where the Renault National Sales event runs until this Saturday the 11th. See the full range of new Renault and Dacia vehicles on display and ready to test drive, with great offers available.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. A Donegal doctor has appealed to elected public representatives in the county to raise the concerns over patient safety at Letterkenny University Hospital at a Oireachtas level. At a frank meeting with GPs yesterday, Sealta promised that the acute medical unit at the hospital will be open by the end of the year and will allow GPs to refer patients directly to it. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly, however, has failed to visit Letterkenny University Hospital following a request to do so in a letter sent to him by a group of doctors and consultants, raising concerns that patients at the hospital are not receiving the same care as other hospitals in the country. Dr. Pádraig McGuinness says it's up to elected representatives now to use their voice.
I'm calling on all the politicians in the county, and I hope they're listening today, from councillors to TDs to senators, to be bringing this back to the Oireachtas and saying, hold on, my job is to represent the people of this county, and my job is to say that enough is enough. And if people are saying to me, if GPs and consultants are saying that this is not good enough, then get your bum down here, listen to them in person and come back with solutions and answers and facilitate CELTA. You know, if CELTA are saying they don't have the funding for it, why isn't there funding? Why couldn't we get an answer?
Donegal County Council is aiming to have applications submitted under the Enhanced Effective Concrete Blocks Grant Scheme processed within 2 weeks. The Council's Defective Concrete Block Committee meeting yesterday was given the commitment that new applications received will be passed on to the Housing Agency within 14 days. 1,400 applications have been transferred from the old 9010 scheme onto the new one. Chair of the committee, Councillor Martin McDermott, says having a timeline to work towards is important for affected homeowners engaged with the scheme.
Gives timelines, particularly for new applicants, that the 2-week timeline from submitting to Donegal County Council, and then the 60-day timeline for damage threshold by the Housing Agency, and then the next part of that will happen by the Housing Agency as to when the tests will be done. So at least homeowners will have timelines.
Carndonagh Community School and Moville Community College shall pay tribute to Alana Harkin and Thomas Gallagher, who were killed in a fatal crash in Inishowen in the early hours of Monday morning. The pair from the Glen Ely area were both aged 18. They will be laid to rest following separate services tomorrow. Tara Dugan has more.
Alana Harkin has been described as a shining light. Carndonagh Community College says her infectious smile, boundless enthusiasm and unwavering determination left an indelible mark on all who had the privilege of knowing her. In remembering their past pupil, they say Alana possessed a kindness and empathy that was unparalleled. Moville Community College has paid tribute to student Thomas Gallagher. In a social media post, the school says this was a time of great opportunity and excitement for Thomas whilst getting ready to embark on the next stage of his life. He's described as loved and respected by his teachers and peers for his fantastic sense of humour and a smile that could brighten up any room. Meanwhile, actress Roma Downey has expressed her sympathies to the family of Thomas, his mother and niece of the Derry native.
The jury in the trial of Joseph Pushka will resume deliberations this morning. The 33-year-old father of 5 of Linalny Grove, Muckla, County Offaly, denies murdering school teacher Aisling Murphy along the Grand Canal in Tullamore on January the 12th, 2022. The 9 men and 3 women on the jury retired to start their deliberations at 3:35 yesterday afternoon and were sent home just after 4 o'clock. They're due to reconvene at 10:30 this morning. Potential job losses are on the way for Derry. Next Home has announced that it will close its Crescent Link Retail Park store in February next year. Foyle MLA Ciara Ferguson says it's vital the company engages immediately with affected workers and, if possible, facilitates a relocation of staff to other stores. She says the store closure will be a devastating blow to workers, families and the local economy. Weather now today will be cool and breezy with sunny spells and scattered blustery showers. Some will be heavy and prolonged and may cause spot flooding, hail and thunder possible also, with highest temperatures of 7 to 9 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website, highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Thursday morning, November the 9th. The death has taken place of Eamon Gallagher, 58 Largan Ray, Downings, Letterkenny, County Donegal. Remains reposing at his late residence today and tomorrow. Funeral leaving from his late residence on Saturday morning for Requiem Mass at St John the Baptist Church, Carrigart at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral can be viewed live on Meva Parish Facebook page. Family flowers only. The death has occurred in her 100th year of Ailish Alice Philomena Mellon, Namak Swigan, Linsfort Buncrana, County Donegal, formerly Glengormley and Whitehead, Belfast. Ailish will be reposing at her late residence today from 2 o'clock until 8 o'clock and tomorrow from 2 o'clock until 8 o'clock. Funeral leaving her late residence, Linsfort Buncrana, on Saturday morning at 10:15, going to the Star of the Sea Church, Desert Tegney, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has occurred of Jimmy McGonigal, a Hilly House, Buncrana, reposing at his home this morning from 11 o'clock. Removal on Saturday morning at 10:15 to St Mary's Church, Cockhill for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time please from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Murphy Funeral Directors. The death has occurred of Mary Gallagher, née Boyle, Cavan Lower, Killygordon, remains reposing at her late residence. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow morning at 10:20 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live on the St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon YouTube channel. Rosary tonight at 9 o'clock. Family time from 10 p.m. until 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral. Donations in lieu of flowers, if so desired, to the Patients Comfort Fund, St Joseph's Community Hospital, Stranorlar, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Jim Gallagher, 8 Bally Road, Strabane, reposing at his home. Funeral leaving his home tomorrow morning at 9:30 for Requiem Mass in the Sacred Heart Church, Derry Road at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. And the death has taken place of Frankie Fletcher, 19 Cornmill Avenue, Buncrana, remains reposing at his sister Anne's residence, St Orns Road, Buncrana. Viewing time today from 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 9:30, going to St Mary's Oratory for 10 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in Cockhill Cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed online at churchservices.tv. Family time from 11 p.m. until 10:30 a.m. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Who's this?
It's me. Somebody's killing us. Someone's coming.
Culprits, streaming exclusively on Disney+.
Please help me. I have a family. I'm not part of this world.
A brand new thriller from the creators of The Night Manager.
If we fight, we die. If we run, we die.
This is going to be fun.
Starring Gemma Arterton and Nathan Stewart Jarrett.
We're going to be dealing with some very serious people.
Culprits, an original series now streaming exclusively on Disney+. 18+ subscription required. T's and C's apply.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Good morning to you. Thank you very much for staying with us here in the 9 till Noon Show and keeping us busy with your comments. Obviously, as you can imagine, Letterkenny University Hospital, whether we like it or not, at one point or another, either ourselves or someone very close to us will have to engage with the services there. So it's a huge issue. Hi, Greg. I spent nearly €1,000 between private consultants' visits and cardiac tests in Dublin as I wasn't waiting for a public appointment. The private system offers diagnoses at weekends and outside the normal 9 to 5 public system. Had a scan in Aphidia in Letterkenny at 8 p.m. on a Saturday night. If the HSC adopted this approach, waiting lists would reduce. Hi, Greg. The people will definitely get behind this and join a protest to highlight the crisis in Letterkenny Hospital. We think people would attend Dublin like they did for the Micah rallies. Dublin only took notice when it was in front of them. Indeed, it is another one of those ones, though, that if it's a political protest, it will. If it's driven by a political party, it will not have the same numbers. A lot of the success of the public protests is when they're apolitical. Some people don't like me saying that, but I can only state what I observe. On another note, regarding the lady you spoke to yesterday that was in a home in Letterkenny because there was no home help available to be given to her, though she had a care plan in place for 2 years, it is not the case of someone goes to hospital, they get their care back when it's time for them to go home. Or is it now true to say that if someone goes to hospital, they'll lose their home help on exit? This is extremely concerning. I'm not sure if her care was originally being provided by the Irish Wheelchair Association. At what point that was transferred to the HSE, I don't know. But it's the HSE who said that they don't have a care package available for her. She's 4 weeks in a nursing home in Letterkenny. She's from Inishowen herself and just wants to go home. She's 65, but she says she's an active 65 and just wants to get home, especially, I imagine, with Christmas approaching. Greg, I've been waiting for an appointment for endocrinology for 2 years. I've no other option but to go to Galway. Letterkenny is forgotten. The majority of medical staff are doing their job, but if you actually sit in the ED and watch doctors and nurses work there, is no teamwork. There's a few who don't deserve to work there. The work ethics aren't there. Sometimes a family member of a loved one sitting there for hours watching this is very disturbing. But again, for the most part, people seem very happy with the staff working in difficult conditions, and often they're being pulled from pillar to post. I'd imagine it's hard to present an incredibly organised work environment when you are being run completely off your feet, left, right and centre. That man is talking about Letterkenny Hospital being left behind. The whole of Donegal is being left behind. If it hadn't been for Northern Ireland down the years, with the amount of people travelling from Donegal to see to the north to work, there would where would Donegal be now? And now they're talking about a United Ireland. The government can't look after 26. Can you imagine 32? Where are our politicians who are appointed to boards within CELTA? Their silence is deafening. Well, the ones that are on the CELTA board, we've spoken to them. They have raised all of these issues at those board meetings. They can't compel management or senior HSE officials to do what they ask, but they have raised, in fairness to them, and it's a cross-party, they have raised these issues at these meetings, but very little comes from them, if that makes sense, other than information. GPs bashing the ED again. You wonder why it can't recruit experienced nurses and doctors who would want to work there. These people mop up the incompetence of poor primary care management. It was a bit controversial, but look, we could sort of say, don't talk about this and it'll go away and we'll be able to hire staff. But that's not working. That won't work. We need CELTA to invest fully and properly in the hospital to bring it up to a standard equal to that elsewhere. We're not looking for everything to be ahead of everywhere else. We're just looking for equality. Did you not hear of the people from Fanad having to pay €400 in taxis because their treatment was in Galway? No way of getting up or down. That's not GP's fault. That's just the reality of the health service. They should be able to get that treatment timely in Derry or Letterkenny, but no, they have to get a taxi from Fanad to Galway. Greg, it's high time the people of Donegal took this to the government in Dublin like the Mica. Let's get the people of Donegal to completely shut down Dublin, or this government once and for all, because this is not about houses falling down. It's about people's lives here, and that's gone beyond acceptable. So come on, people, let's get this sorted once and for all. It's been going on far too long, and only the people can sort this out, they say. Some comments from our social media. I'll come back to that, actually, because that's that scam that's going around. Fair play to the GPs for calling out CELTA Group and hospital management. Sligo has better services than Letterkenny, they say. Why, that's only the tip of the iceberg. Letterkenny University Hospital needs a major overhaul in management from senior to facilities. It's a joke, a mess that needs fixing badly and soon. We must realise that it's the government policy of mass immigration that's the root cause of the health crisis. Saying it's racist to even ask such questions is patently absurd. It's not racist at all. It's not the root cause of it, though, because we've been dealing with this for absolutely years, long before there was an influx. Obviously, and it's been recognised by those who know, you increase the population, you increase demand on services. That is it, but that's not the root cause of it. We could have the all of the people that have arrived here over the last 2.5 years, or however long it's been, could all go tomorrow. Do you think all of a sudden everything would be fine and dandy? Of course it wouldn't. What about all of the people that are from outside the country that are working in the hospital? Would you send them home too? What would happen to Letterkenny University Hospital then, I wonder? Greg, can anyone explain to me why the management is still in place at the hospital? Are they capable of running it? The bottom line is, and I can only go by from what GPs, consultants and others say, that this is a CELTA issue. Right, okay. Hi, Greg. It's not a scam as it's on the Revolut app. I never said it was a scam. What I said was only submit your PPS number through the Revolut app. What I said is what will happen now is the scammers, because they're very active, they will say, right, okay, Revolut's asking people for their PPS numbers. They'll start sending texts and say that by law, because the blurbs on the Revolut app, by law, you have to give us your PPS number, follow this link to do so. Don't do that. Within the app, of course, you do have to input your PPS number. I have. It's not a scam. It's part of them. It's part of them adhering to the Central Bank of Ireland's rules and regulations. But what I was saying is it's only a matter of time before the scammers start sending messages or emails purporting to be from Revolut. But if you get the notification through your app, then yes, you do have to provide your PPS number to Revolut. All right, I know many of you are waiting patiently for the bingo numbers as it is jackpot day. More comments, more guests coming up shortly.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 9th of November, Jackpot Day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €5,600 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S4. It's game number 45. The jackpot number is 31. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 11, 22, 87, 45, 21, 19, 69, 83, 58, and finally 74. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
An chlár Employer Excellence de Cuid Fáilte Ireland Oscailtanis de gachsáis cólachta in Arnold na Tuarasóireachta ón siamsa is lú go dtí an tóstán is mó. Glagport leis na céite cólacht eile atá gmeala daoine ort chumas a chana féin. An córtha a cuidíon leat daoine a arcú. Clór ag fáilteIreland.ie/Employer Excellence.
Are you building a new home? Building requirements state that you must install a radon barrier. At FF Radon Systems, we supply and professionally install the fully certified barrier. For more information, call Liam at FF Radon Systems on 086 833 2749.
Mary here from the cosmetic department at McGee's Pharmacy to let you know that Lancome have a great beauty gift available this week. Buy 2 Lancome products, one of them to be skincare, and you will get a free 8-piece gift containing the full-size Galaxy Comfort Cleanser, Renerche Day and Eye Travel Size creams, and more iconic Lancome products. This is available until Saturday the 11th of November or while stocks last. Some T's and C's apply. Remember, for any skincare advice, you can always talk to Gemma or myself here at McGee's Pharmacy on Main Street, Letterkenny.
Nutrius Super Beef Gold ATP and Nutrius Max Maize Mix are now on offer at your local Homeland. Buy 10 25 kg bags and get one free, or get €15 off per tonne in bulk. The Nutrius Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrius.ie for full product details.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
You're very welcome back. Now, Roisin Lorente runs the Bridge Bar restaurant in Ramelton and is with us on the programme now. Good morning, Roisin.
Hello, good morning.
You've been speaking about a lack of public transport, taxi services, and the impact it can have on businesses, including your own. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So not just, as you say, our own, but a lot of businesses in the area. This was actually recently brought to our attention by a customer who travels from Kerrykill on the 300, the local link, on a Friday and Saturday evening. She gets up here around 6:30 and comes in for her dinner, and then gets the link again home around just after 9 o'clock. And she was just saying that it would be good to get it extended to a Thursday and Sunday evening. Obviously, we have quite a few customers that use the service, and also we have a lot of staff that would use the service as well. I just think it would be beneficial to every business between Fannet and Letterkenny to have this service extended to include these evenings. Not just for us, but like if you wanted to go into Letterkenny a night, you know, you've got the nighttime economy. There is a lot of jobs, the theatre, the cinema, staff night outs, you know, it would be good.
Yeah, and it would benefit all the areas between its start, stop and in between too, obviously then.
Well, yeah, like cafes, restaurants, you know, as I say, the late night shopping, and especially coming into the winter nights now, a lot of people don't like travelling, you know, driving at night time. It can be, for newer drivers like myself. I just recently learned how to drive, so it can be a little bit nervous sometimes, and just jumping on the bus, going up, doing your shopping, coming back down, relaxing, you know, reading a book on the bus, chatting to a friend, making a new friend, whatever it is, you know, just not having to worry about the traffic in Letterkenny, as you know, is a nightmare. And if you are then out to have a drink or whatever, not having to worry about how you're getting home, you know, that the service is always there. And
because you would get customers, I presume, that would, I mean, obviously, if they're relatively local, they won't be long learning, but presumably you do get customers that land for a lovely evening, presuming that it's just a case of ringing a taxi to get home.
Yeah, well, we do have local customers that know about this, but a lot of people, local and not local, don't actually know about it and don't realise what a great service that there is, you know, provided already, and that we do need to start using these services to keep these services. You know, like I think in the city you're used to grabbing a bus, no problem, or a taxi because it's just there and available. We'll not even think about it. Sometimes we'll just nip up to Letterkenny in the car or whatever, and we'll not even think about using these buses. So I think if we do fight for them a little bit, we will be able to get them extended or to keep them as well, maybe to add on links and different routes. And then obviously visitors coming into the area who really don't know and just expect when they go to a restaurant or a cinema or a theatre, whatever it is, that there will be a taxi, you know, sitting outside waiting for them. And it can be a little bit embarrassing sometimes that you have to then, you know, put them into your wee car and take them home because there is no other service available, you know.
Is that why you learnt to drive?
Unfortunately, yeah. It's a slow ride home when I take them home.
I had my tongue in my cheek there, but there you go. That is service for you, isn't it? And you say the local link is there. It's a good service, but more people need to use it, and it needs to be extended. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, it's a single journey is €3. A return journey is €6. It's free to travel pass holders, and it's free for under 5-year-olds. I know a lot of people do flag it. Now, I don't know the kind of right on that, but they do flag it down kind of outside their house or not too far from their house. So they can, you know, you don't necessarily need to go to the stop.
It can be it's a little bit more informal, isn't it, for the most part, I think.
Do you know what I mean? It is. It's that local community bus. Look, I know such and such is getting on here now. We'll just stop and we'll get her on or get her off or whatever it is. And that's what we want in these kind of areas, to highlight these community buses and as I say, just to use them as much as we can. And it will bring a lot, like for nighttime economy in Letterkenny or Ramelton, or if the dream would be to get it from Milford, you know, Milford up to Letterkenny or vice versa. People coming down into the town would be brilliant, and bringing jobs, and especially at this time of the year, you know, in winter when we don't have the visitors or as many visitors as we would like. Getting the local people out and about and using the services that we have rather than going online and buying your shopping, you know, online in Amazon or whatever. You could companies. You could go up to Letterkenny and out.
And in terms of socialising too, there's a safety element to it potentially as well, and options for people. Indeed, there are some moves on to have that service extended. You say maybe for into Milford as well. We'll contact Local Link and see what the story is with them there. But I think we're entitled to a reasonable bus service in rural Ireland. There is one there, of course, don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean, extended, different times and what have you. Roisin, thanks very much indeed. Thanks very much for joining us. Continued success with your lovely business. I do appreciate your time. Roisin Lorente there runs the Bridge Barn restaurant in Ramelton. Now, we have teamed up this week with Vodafone, who are promoting their High Digital initiative. High Digital is an online skills training programme for older people over the age of 65, developed by Vodafone Ireland Foundation in partnership with Alone. The training is available online or via in-person classes, and you can go to highdigital.ie, that's hidigital.ie, or call 1-800 20 30 30 for more information. And here is some more information for you.
Welcome to the Highland Radio High Digital Online Skills Tips, brought to you by the Vodafone Ireland Foundation and Alone. High Digital is an online skills course designed with older people in mind. Today, we're giving you tips on how to use the voice note feature on WhatsApp, one of the most popular messaging apps in Ireland. It lets you contact others in many ways, such as texting, phone calls and video calls. The voice note is great for people who find it tricky to text. Look for the microphone icon to the right of where you normally type a text. Tap and hold down the microphone button to send a voice note. Just speak into your phone like a dictaphone. Lift your finger off the button to send the voice note. For a more in-depth tutorial on this and many other lessons, log on to highdigital.ie or call 1800 20 30 30 for more information. Brought to you by Vodafone Ireland Foundation and Alone.
Yeah, indeed. And you can avail of that voice note feature, which is quite timely, by testing it with us, if you like. If you want to send a message and comment on what we're talking about or something that you want to talk about, raise the issue, hold down that mic on your phone, record your voice message and release and send it to us. There you go. Simple as that. Let's see. 086 60 25,000. Send your WhatsApp voice messages. All right, more on the way after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Nitrates cut could be delayed. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal why Brussels is considering a derogation reprieve for Irish farmers. Irish beef locked out of China again. Suckler cow exodus continues. Thousands of young farmers locked out of acres. Farmers could get up to €50,000 for pylons and farmland. Will there be a potato shortage this Christmas? Plus, our guide to how farmers can secure a mortgage.
All inside this week's Irish Farmer's Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
It's not often you can have the best of both worlds. Imagine a beautiful backdrop, arguably the best in Donegal. Add a fantastic a la carte menu, served from Wednesday to Sunday. Where are we, you ask? The Water's Edge Restaurant, Rathmullen. Dive in and taste the freshness. To book, call the Water's Edge Restaurant on 074 989 1352.
New stock arrived at Meehan's of Rafo. Large selection of diesel hoodies, sweatshirts and half-zips with chinos to match. There's men's polo shirts and half-zip sets in sizes up to 5XL. And there's tough stuff trousers only $29.99 at Meehan's of Rafo. Christmas Club now open.
We're turning Black Friday red in the Virgin Media Playhouse. Get 1 gig superfast reliable broadband for just €45 a month for 12 months with no activation fee. And when you add TV for €15 a month, an Xbox Series S is your Red Friday gift. Get your play underway with 1 gig broadband and TV for €60 a month. Switch in store or at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. Terms and conditions apply. See virginmedia.ie. Offer ends the 29th of November 2023.
Stay warm for less this autumn with Homeland. 5-pack wood logs, buy 3 for €13. Hardwood log crate for 150 kg, only €329. Nationwide delivery available. Shop in store or online at homeland.ie.
Okay, very welcome back to the show. Joe joins us now. Hi, Joe. Good morning to you.
Hello, Greg. How's the form?
I'm all right. How are you, Joe?
Not too bad.
All right, we're talking about the situation at Letterkenny University Hospital. What say you?
I think the most striking thing is the fact that the GPs and even the doctors have to come out and form a task group to try to force funding out of the government. Like, have the people of Donegal let the TDs off the hook? Is there enough pressure on them? Are they hearing enough about it?
Mm-hmm. You mean are the public doing enough?
Yeah, the public do enough. Like, things must be... There's a fast breaking point up there. Like, when you have GPs coming out trying to fix the problems, like, they're up to the rise of their own work, and it's not their job to do it to start with.
Yeah. I mean, like, Joe, like, obviously... this is one platform that people can use, and they do, and they have been doing for years. There are some would say it's about time the GPs and consultants come out, and have a good relationship with them. That's not a criticism, but I think people have felt broken because when when you complain about something so much and it never changes, I think maybe we've given in a little bit, and this is the fire in our belly that we need to say enough is enough.
Yeah. Well, I get that, but at the same time, GPs are GPs, and is it up to them to have to come out to call for funding and tell how bad it is?
Yeah, I get you. Okay, and the consultants as well. Let's not forget.
Yeah, I think I heard Dr. Sugru was on there a couple of weeks ago.
That's right. Yeah,
I didn't get all of it, but I think it's past the crisis point when that's going on.
I think you're right. I think you were right, because there was some in it, and you referenced Mr. Sugru there. He said that if things keep going the way we are potentially looking at a service collapse. We're losing services, diabetes services, endocrinology services, dermatology services. Do you know what I mean? These are really critical things that are affecting thousands of people out there, Joe. You know, it's not like 4 or 5 people. This is thousands upon thousands of people of all ages and backgrounds that are, because the consultants are leaving. There are quite a few of them are. You can pay to go and see them, but they don't want to. They don't feel they can work in Letterkenny anymore.
Exactly. I suppose it gets to a point, like when you have TDs in a position, even as ministers, is there a red line where they say they put the priority of the people ahead of themselves and ahead of politics? And if the health service in Donegal isn't one of them, where is the red line?
Well, you could argue that Joe McHugh did that. Now he's outside government effectively. You know, he can't influence from within. Maybe sometimes are you better staying within the system and seeing, you know, I'm sure Minister McConalogue would argue he got that meeting with Stephen Donnelly to get the review team to look at the hospital. Could he have done that if he had given up the party whip? Maybe not.
Well,
I don't know.
If enough of them would stand up, the numbers when it comes to vote sometimes can be fairly close.
Yeah.
And the TDs have leverage if they want to use it. Maybe they're happier sitting in, and as you say, trying to influence from one side. But and again, the health of Donegal hasn't been working.
Yeah, okay. Well, and listen, I'm not saying up locally, but maybe down the country they have private health insurance and they don't really understand or don't have to understand what it's like for the rest of us.
But is there a bigger agenda going on? Are they making the health service so bad that they're trying to force people on to have private health insurance and letting you go private?
Yeah, well, our private insurance options up here are slim, but who's to say? Joe, I can sense the frustration in your voice, and I don't mean that in a positive way, that you say, you're going, this is a ridiculous situation. Thanks for your time, Joe. I appreciate it. Good man. Have a lovely day, will you?
All right, Joe. All right, Greg. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you very much indeed. All right. Sadie's with us now on a different subject. We're talking about parking in Buncrana. Hiya, Sadie.
Hello, Greg.
It's good to have you on the show.
I just want to highlight something that happened to me last Saturday.
Yes.
I went to the town in Buncrana Main Street and I parked, and I was there about 10 minutes, and I went home and I forgot something, and I went back about an hour later, parked on a different spot completely, was there about 6 minutes and came home and didn't even see my ticket was stuck to the window on Sunday. Brought it up. It was down that I had parked nearly 2 hours. Brought it up to the parking attendant, and she says to me, I says, I wouldn't mind if I had been there 2 hours, but I wasn't there.
Yes.
2 hours. I was only there less than a half an hour altogether. And she says, that's the machine. You have to pay the ticket. So I had to pay. Just to let people aware. It's not very shop local, is it?
No, it's a good one, because what would have happened there, I suspect, and this is not in any way not to back you up here, what I suspect has happened there is they have flagged you're allowed a bit of free parking, aren't you? They've taken a scan of your number plate. You've left and then you've come back in, and as far as their machine is telling them, you never left. You've been sitting there on Main Street. I've heard of it before, but not for quite some time. And you've got a parking ticket. You have to pay that, don't you?
Yes, I paid it, but I was the camera showed I was in 2 different positions on the Main Street. I was farther up at outside the 4 lights, and then the next time I was down at Max. Right. And I brought it to the parking attendant, and she said to me, "Oh no, this isn't me. That's the machine. You have to pay this fine." And I was just very annoyed that I had to pay €40.
I'm not surprised.
Just letting people aware that there's a way of it in Buncrana Main Street.
And Sadie, really, what we can take from that then is that you are allowed a bit of free parking, but only once a day.
you're only allowed once a day.
Yeah.
I brought it up with somebody else too in the town, and he said to me, no, you're only allowed once a day. So it really wouldn't encourage you to shop local. It'd be better going to Letterkenny shopping and parking in the 2 hours. That's the way I think.
Well, you only get half an hour in Letterkenny, but what about, is it not 30 cents?
The shopping centre.
Okay. But is it not 30 cents or something to park, Sadie, and then you can wander Buncrana free?
I didn't mind. It would have no bother. I didn't mind if I'd have been there a half an hour to pay the half
I hear you.
But I wasn't even there long enough to pay the half an hour.
Yeah.
I just want to make people aware of it, and that's the way it is.
You are 100% correct. And you know what? You've probably saved a few people a €40 there, Sadie. So I do appreciate you coming on. And it does feel a little bit unfair. Were you told that you could appeal it if you wanted to, and you could go into court and you could have said...
No, I wouldn't
waste
do
your
that.
time. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
No.
All right, okay.
Just want to make people aware. That's what it's like. Okay,
Sadie,
thanks,
have
Greg.
a wonderful day, will you? Thank you so very much indeed for joining us. I really do appreciate your time. Let's stay with parking, but we're going to switch down to Galway now. Eric's with us. Hi, Eric. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
What's your experience? You actually, by coincidence, this is another individual from Fanad having to travel to Galway for treatment. We heard examples from the doctor, but this is different. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I just want to applaud Bardick for what he's trying to do. Because this needs to be highlighted, the way Letterkenny Hospital has been run down. I had to take a friend to Galway just about 10 days ago there. And we left at 6 o'clock in the morning. His appointment was for 10:30. And we were there. We were there in good enough time. And he went in for an appointment. It was 11:20 before I could get the car parked. I was driving round the hospital looking, trying to see if I could get on. And every entrance to every wee park that's there are a number of them, was queued.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally said to one of the attendants there, what are you supposed to do here to get parked? And he said, go over to that one and wait there. He said, that's your best chance.
Mm-hmm.
11:20, I finally got the car parked.
Wow.
And if that appointment had been for myself,
yeah, you were able to drop the person off, but even if they weren't able to walk from the vehicle, for an example, if you had to help them in, you would have been in bother as well.
Yeah, well, I was able to leave them outside the door where their centre was. That was no problem there. But it's just what had happened if that was for myself. I had an appointment there.
Yeah, you'd have been bothered.
That was going to be late.
And out of interest, we're not going to talk about your friend's private information, but how long were they in the appointment for?
Oh, they didn't get out till 3:15.
Right. Okay. So it was a long enough session.
Yeah. But I don't mind paying for the parking.
No, I get that. Yeah, it's having the parking available.
It's just having it available.
Yeah.
Everything has been pushed into Galway there, and fair enough, it's a very good hospital. We don't want to run it down in any way at all. Very, very good what they're doing there, but they have to allow the facilities there for people to come in.
Yeah. And I suppose, again, not talking about anything private, but I mean, if you hadn't have been able to run your friend down, Eric, how would they have got down to Galway to be in time for a 10:30 appointment, I wonder?
I don't know.
There's no bus line.
Get a taxi or maybe go down in an ambulance. But it wasn't. I mean, it was only there just as a follow-up.
Aye, but if he didn't have a good friend like you, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, he'd get another friend.
Well, I think you're being very modest there, Eric.
He just probably wasn't dependent on me.
Yeah. Right, okay. If I'm ever stuck, I know who to give. I've got your number here now, Eric, all right? You can pick me up on your way through Donegal Town. Listen, actually, in all jokes aside, Eric, you're a very good friend. And I appreciate you coming on and helping us highlight that issue, because even when you do have someone like you that will drive you down, where is there to park the car? And it took you a long time to get parked there, 40-odd minutes, I think you mentioned. Eric, listen, God bless you. Fair play to you. I really appreciate my chatting to you, or you chatting to me, sorry.
Okay, thank you. God bless.
You too, Eric. Take care. Thanks so much. And I really do appreciate you listening to us here on the programme as well. I've been attending the doctor since April. I've tried multiple creams and tablets. I was referred to Dr. McKenna in Sligo. I got a phone call this week to say that Dr. McKenna won't see me for How long do you think? 4 years. I've not been able to sleep since April due to itching and scratching, and now I have to go private to Ballykelly. I was offered by Dr. McKenny to go private and that I would be seen in 2 weeks. But what's the point in that if he wasn't able to see me through public for 4 years? Well, there is an allocation of time that they have, but I take your point. I waited 7 weeks for a referral. I was told that it hasn't got through. Sligo would have been closer to me, but going to Ballykelly doesn't make much difference for travel. Referrals to Sligo are looked at 1 day a week. They won't see you for 4 years. I'm completely out of pocket. I can't claim back cross-border. If they pay you and how much they pay you is another story. I've tried everything. I don't know what else to do. It's ridiculous. I'll scratch my skin to the bone. I've seen 3 doctors in the practice, multiple creams, tablets and steroids. You name it, I've had it. A caller says she was due an operation in October 2022 and she was called the morning of the operation to cancel it. She's had no word since, even though she's constantly chasing it up. The whole thing is completely mentally draining as well as everything else. Can you imagine? All set for your operation in October 2022, cancelled on the morning, not a pip since. Another caller says there's a lot of wasted money. They should be looking at the transportation of patients and organise a minibus so they can travel together instead of sending patients individually. This has been going on long before COVID. Another caller says, I was a short-term patient at Letterkenny Hospital recently and I can't praise the medical staff enough for their care. And again, I'll clarify this just to be really, really clear. We're standing with the staff at Letterkenny University Hospital because they're working in incredibly difficult conditions and they can't really speak out. They can. I get messages from them from time to time on social media primarily or through this programme, but they can't speak out and they are worked to the bone down there. We're standing with them, not against them. A lot of people get really good care in Letterkenny University Hospital and when you go through the ED, a lot of people get good care. But there is an awful lot of people, 1,500 of them in the first 6 months of the year that say enough is enough. I can't even wait here any longer. I'm going home. We don't know how they've fared. There are those who are scared to go into the hospital because they can't tolerate another 9, 10, 11, 12-hour wait. We have to think of them as well. So notwithstanding the good experience that many people have, we cannot ignore the thousands that don't have a similar pleasant experience. And also we do have to back up and stand with staff and I suppose to some extent management who claim they are as much as they can campaigning for better resources. Hi Greg, I was in the ED last night and sat for 14 hours and watching numerous people leave. The waiting times are a joke, and also watched a person that was looking for mental health services and seemed to be overlooked and refused help. The person was walking about causing no harm and the hospital removed this person for causing a disruption. I always thought healthcare couldn't be refused. That's particularly worrying. Dependent on where that person was removed to, you don't know exactly what might happen thereafter.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Why wait until Black Friday? At Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring, we're offering our Black Friday deals right now. Get up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring and all bathware. Everything's reduced and everything's in stock. The 70% off Black Friday sale at Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring. Stores nationwide. Sale now on.
House to Home Bridgend, Donegal. Our modest front door opens onto 2 floors of Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining and occasional furniture. Step into our showroom and see how we can transform your house into a home. House to Home furniture, flooring, slide ropes and interiors, Bridgend, Donegal.
Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, supporting you with the right footwear. Suffering from joint pain, shin splints or foot injuries, we can help you with our range of footwear and experience. We select the best options from all the major brands: Brooks, Asics, New Balance, Hoka and On Footwear. Step into our safe size experience. We will update your gait analysis, measure your feet and recommend what will support your body and joints. Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Christmas Club now open.
GiveBlood.ie know we can count on you, our community of blood donors, to be there for others in their hour of need. Blood donors from Buncrana should attend the clinic in the Inishowen Gateway Hotel on Monday 6th and Tuesday 7th of November, and donors from Carndonagh should attend the clinic in the Carndonagh Community School on Wednesday 8th and Thursday 9th. Making an appointment is recommended, so call 1-800-731-137 or visit our website to book your time. New donors are vital. Visit giveblood.ie to check eligibility and clinic details, because we count on you.
Harvest Mini Stages Rally, the last rally in the county this year, will take place on Saturday. The event has an impressive entry with 6 stages of action in the Dunfanaghy, Fulcara and Gortahork areas. You can follow the Donegal Harvest Mini Stages Rally on Highland Radio this Saturday with live regular updates in association with Rorty's Garage and Dunlewy Service Station at the heart of the community for the last 34 years.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, you can notice it's got a bit cooler, can't you? Today will continue cool and breezy with sunny spells and scattered blustery showers. Some will be heavy and prolonged and may cause spot flooding. Hail and thunder are possible too. Temperatures today, no, not into double digits anyway, between 7 and 9 degrees. And as I say, it's going to get a little bit colder tomorrow evening. You are tuned to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Very shortly, we're going to be joined by Dr. Joe Kelly. He is going to be talking history with us, which is good. Did you give me the details of that, Caroline? Sorry, I just need to know what the number is and things like that there. Okay, you did. Thanks very much indeed. All right, to some more of your comments now. And caller says they should all be sacked. This is HSE management. They've let the patients in Donegal town down big time. They're not happy with that at all. Right, as we wait for Dr. Joe Kelly to call us, we were inviting your voice messages. Here is one of our listeners' contributions.
Hello, Greg. I love the show. I was parked in the Duns car park a few weeks ago. I couldn't get a family spot, a parent, child and parents car parking space, so I was in a normal space, parked perfectly well within my 2 lanes. And when I came out of the shop again and come back to the car, I wasn't able to open the door, my back door of the car wide enough to get my baby into the car. I couldn't get the baby seat into the car. I was so upset because I didn't know what to do. I was standing there with the buggy and the car seat, the baby in it. I couldn't get the door opened. I stood around for about 15 minutes and eventually I had to ask somebody to help me to stand with my baby while I drove my car forward out into the road so that I could get the doors opened. And I just think it's absolutely ridiculous, the size of the car parking spaces at the minute. Like, cars have got bigger over the years, the spaces have never got bigger, and it's just so frustrating as a parent, particularly when you're trying to get young children in and out of the cars. And I was so upset that day that I had to ask somebody to stand, a stranger to stand with my baby while I got into my car and drove it out. I'm even upset now just thinking about it again. It was just horrible. Is there anything that can be done with regards to planning when they're building shopping centres or organising car parking spaces, that they need to be made bigger?
Yeah, indeed. That's one listener's voice note. If you want to send your voice notes to us, 086 60 25,000. That's a problem I've encountered myself, and you think you've parked with plenty of room, and another car pulls in beside you can't even get the doors open because, and I've said it before as well, so it's interesting, our listener pointing that out, that the car parking spaces are very narrow at times. Can you sympathise with that listener? Let us know, 086 60 25,000, or call us 07491 25,000. Right, we're inviting you not to miss BAFTA award-winning comedian Michael McIntyre. He's got a brand new show, and it's coming to the Magnificent, it's called The Magnificent, and it's coming to the Magnificent SSE Arena in Belfast. You know Michael McIntyre, he's a brilliant comedian, very, very funny, and he does The Wheel, that show as well, on the BBC. He's a big star, very, very funny. I find him hilarious myself. We're going to make it very easy for you if you want to go and see Michael McIntyre, because we are going to provide for you luxury transfer that gets you up and down nice and cosy and safe, an overnight stay in the Clayton Hotel Belfast on a B&B breakfast, so you'll get a lovely hotel room and your breakfast the next morning. You get your ticket to the show, and we'll also give you a bit of shopping time the next day in Belfast city centre. The price for the tickets for the trip is $269 per person sharing, but that includes everything. $269 per person sharing. The show is on Friday the 31st of May next year, so again, a good Christmas present idea. Now, if you want to hold your spot, 100 quid will hold it for you, and then you can pay in if you wish. For more information, you can go to the outlet on highlandradio.com or give us a call on 07491 25,000. It is the perfect gift for Christmas for the Michael McIntyre lover in your life. A great night out, actually, to go and see a proper comedian. That's in Belfast on the 31st of May, and we'll look after you, your accommodation, your transfer, your ticket, a bit of shopping time in Belfast. $269 per person sharing. Get in touch with us if you want to secure your space, and you can do so now effectively and have Christmas in the bag for the sum of €100. Okay. Now, we are going to be talking history, as I mentioned, with Dr. Joe Kelly. He is a historian, but that's only one string to Joe's bow. Dr. Joe Kelly, Majin Way, how are you? Good morning to you. Welcome to the 9 till noon show. Welcome back. No, your internet.
Majin Way, good hearing yourself, Greg. It's the luck in Highland Radio and all listening in Highland Radio. And apologies, I'm running between classes here. So thanks, Caroline, for your patience.
Yeah, well, I wasn't ready to come to you, so it all works out. It's hard to believe it's 2007 when we were all talking about the 400th anniversary of the Flight of the Earls. That's correct, isn't it? I would have guessed that was 3 or 4 years ago, but no, it's 16 odd years ago. How significant is the Flight of the Earls? And I suppose just give us before I get into my delicious questions, just to give a brief synopsis of what happened in 1607.
Well, basically what had happened was the 9-Year War had happened before that, when O'Neill and O'Donnell and Maguire, the earls and lords of Ulster, tried to keep the British advancement that had occurred elsewhere in Ireland from entering into Ulster. And they had led a hard, long campaign. They almost succeeded. But unfortunately, they fell short. In 1601, the Spanish arrived in Kinsale with an army. And unfortunately, it was in Kinsale that they landed because it was too far away from Ulster. Had they come up into Killybegs, it would have been geographically and strategically much more efficient. But they realised after that this wasn't sustainable. And then there was the Treaty of Mellifont in 1603 that more or less ensured that British law, customs, language, religion would be enforced in Ulster. So look, that's the background to it. And so when you ask, is it important? Well, when they left, when these earls left, these noble Gaelic lords left, it really marked the end of, say, a millennium and a half of Irish Gaelic culture, civilization. You could say from 1170, Strongbow arriving, and King Henry II declared himself King of Ireland in 1172. From that time until, you could say, the Flight of the Earls, 1607, that's over 430 years, they had been fighting to keep the English out. And they ran out of road, so to speak. They hadn't the manpower, the energy to sustain this colonial nation that was coming in on top of them. So in that sense, it's very, very significant because it marks the end of the Gaelic order. It marks the end of what we would have known, maybe our poets or law system. So
why did they leave 99 noble men and women? They left Rathmullen. Were they fleeing a sinking ship? Was it to... I don't know, so they would be the guardians of our culture or our history, or why, and how hastily was it organised, and why? Why did they leave?
Yeah, well, look, that's a real difficult question, but a very difficult question to answer. And there are a number of different theories and beliefs. One was that they felt that they could no longer sustain themselves with what was happening with the advancement of England. The other argument was maybe religion, that they felt, certainly in the case of Rory O'Donnell, remember his brother Red Hugh had gone to Spain to get help, but he died there. And so Rory, his brother, took control in Ireland. And Rory was a very good man who really had a strong belief in his faith. And a lot of the church lands in Ulster were now taken over by the Protestants. That was the rule, the Protestant bishops, and they had to concede that, and they weren't happy with that. The monasteries were closed, priests were banished. So one of them would have been religious reasons. Other were financial reasons. Some would say that, O'Neill and O'Donnell, because they had lost their lordship, so to speak, they didn't have the same rental income. And for that reason, they were leaving, that they just felt that they couldn't continue. Others would say it's because, and Dr. Silk, God rest him, the Fodayossan historian, and who actually unearthed a letter written about a year after they had left in the hand of Hugh O'Donnell, that they had been actively still seeking help from Spain to send another army, and that this was found out by the English. And so Hugh O'Neill was afraid. He'd been summoned to London in 1606 to go there in 1607. And he feared that if he went there to see the King James I, who was actually a Catholic, that he might lose his head, or that he might never get back to Ireland again. But in fairness, and maybe historically, King James was very, very fair to Hugh O'Neill, and always went on his side as opposed to his advisor sides. So Dr. Silk had found this letter in his hand saying that he'd been in touch with Spain, and maybe Hugh O'Neill had realised that the English had found out that he was... See, Hugh O'Neill had been sent to England to be reared. Hugh O'Donnell was captured and put in the Round Tower in Dublin, where the English said, right, we control the O'Donnells if we can capture this young man that was captured in Rathmullen. We talked before about that. And O'Neill was taken to England to be educated from the age of 8, and he returned to Ireland about 18, and he was made Earl of Dungannon. So he was brought up in the British educational system, and he would have known Queen Elizabeth, and he was seen as, okay, this man now we can trust back in Ulster. But what maybe they didn't realise is blood is thicker than water. And O'Neill and O'Donnell, O'Neill was married actually to Hugh O'Donnell's sister, and Hugh O'Donnell actually married Hugh O'Neill's daughter, one of his daughters. So there was a blood connection there. And the men of Tyrone and Tyrconnell, we've never lost that togetherness, and it was very evident there.
And,
so
and,
initially,
and they were all notable. They were all noble, but are they all notable, the 99?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting, the list of who was on this boat. Tygo Canan, who was a scholar, went on the journey with them. He was with Maguire, Cúchonach Maguire, who was one of the earls that left, and he kept a record. And it still survives. Don't know how it ever survived, but miraculously he went with them, ended up going to Louvain with them, and then eventually to Rome. And the record, the manuscript's now in UCD, about 150 pages. And in that record, he talks about the ship journey. He talks about, and this is how we know so much, who the 99 were on this boat. And the Annals of the Four Masters make a lovely, lovely point. And if you indulge me, this is what they say. This was the most noble ship load, for the certain that in modern times that the sea had not poured forth from Ireland, nor would or wind waft a ship that would have proved finer or more illustrious or nobler on grounds of ancestry or better deeds of bounty, valour and exploits than had God permitted them to remain in their country till their children attained manhood. This was the creme de la creme of Irish nobles that had led particularly Ulster in the 9 Years' War, and they all left on this boat, and included in that was the great O'Neill himself.
And we thought the brain drain was a new phenomenon, but clearly not. I know you are you're between classes. Do you have a couple of minutes after 11, or must I? You do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We are in conversation with Dr. Joe Kelly, reflecting on the flight of the Earls, the 14th of September, November. Is it November, Joe, or September?
September.
Okay.
You're probably working off the old calendar, which would be correct. There was an old, the way it changed with Gregorian. These Gregories that do a terrible thing. They changed the calendar on
You wouldn't know what day of the week it was if it wasn't for me. Stay where you are.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And I'm going to be back with Dr. Joe Kelly after we get a news update now from Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A Donegal doctor has appealed to elected public representatives in the county to raise the concerns over patient safety at Letterkenny University Hospital at a Oireachtas level. At a frank meeting with GPs yesterday, Céalta promised that the acute medical unit at the hospital will be open by the end of the year and will allow allowing GPs to refer patients directly to it. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly, however, has failed to visit Letterkenny University Hospital following a request to do so. Donegal County Council is aiming to have applications submitted under the Enhanced Defective Concrete Blocks Grant Scheme processed within 2 weeks. The Council's Defective Concrete Block Committee meeting yesterday was given the commitment that new applications received will be passed on to the Housing Agency within 14 days. The jury in the Aisling Murphy murder trial has resumed its deliberations. 33-year-old Joseph Pushka of Lenali Grove, Muckla, County Offaly, denies murdering Miss Murphy along the Grand Canal in Tullamore in January 2022. There's concern over the length of time it's taking for SI housing applications to pass through planning. Councillor Patrick McGuyan believes the current criteria drawn up in 2016 is beyond outdated. He says an urgent review of policy is needed. Potential job losses are on the way for Derry. Next Home has announced that it will close its Crescent Link retail park store in February next year. Foyle MLA Ciara Ferguson says it's vital the company engages immediately with affected workers and, if possible, facilitates the relocation of staff to other stores. And vapes will no longer be sold in vending machines. It's part of new rules being introduced by the government, which includes a ban on the sale of vapes to under 18s. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly says he expects it to be signed into law by Christmas. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Michaela, thank you very much indeed. Okay, we are in the company of historian Dr. Joe Kelly. Right, so talk to us then about the boat on which they left. We did see a recreation of it, I think, in 1607. I do recall it paddling off from Rathmullen, not where it went to I can't quite remember, but it must have been a big vessel. Did these noble people, did they man it themselves? Was there a crew? Give us a little bit of an idea about that, Joe, if you don't mind.
Well, you'd asked the question, why did they leave? And it would appear that they'd been planning this. Now, why they left, maybe the plan was to come back again, maybe to go to Spain and petition the King of Spain to send another army. One doesn't know. But we do know that Hugh O'Neill and Maguire and O'Donnell had previously sent for help for a ship to come, and what that was about, we're not sure. Was it to come and collect them and take them away? Because it looked at this time that Hugh O'Neill was going to go to London to see the King. So how all of a sudden did this change in the space of a few weeks? And when this ship arrived at the beginning of September 1607 into Donegal, word was sent to O'Donnell, Maguire, Fermanagh, and Hugh O'Neill was in Slane at the time, meeting Chichester, who was the Lord Deputy for England, talking about the meeting that would be had with the King and getting ready for that. And the word got to him in Slane that this boat was here. And Hugh O'Donnell left Slane and travelled back at night, heading through Dungannon, heading into Ballindrate. His sister-in-law was married there, then went across the Foyle in the water and landed into Rathmullen. And one wonders, why, what was it, a panic that he had to go that quick? I don't think so. And historians would argue that he knew exactly what he was doing, and he realised that he had to go on this boat. The fact that he travelled at night, he realised that there were spies everywhere watching him. So I talked about the different people that were on it. The noblest of people were on it, and there's a list of different people. There was various, the Lord of Fermanagh, Cúchonach Maguire was on it, Hugh O'Donnell, or not Hugh, Rory O'Donnell, who was the leader of Donegal at that time, was on it. Hugh O'Neill himself was on it. Their children were on it. There was 5 O'Hagans, 2 Kennys, 2 O'Mahanys. There were 14 priests.
But how did the general public see this, though? Because, you talked about the times leading up to this, and these are the people, these are the cornerstones of any society, it sounds like, the brains, the leaders, the church, and you're standing in Rathmullen waving them off. Now, we're not 100% sure then of the motivation for their departure, but I just wonder how it might have been seen by the rank and file population.
See, the rank and file population didn't understand, and I don't even think the earls themselves that left understood what this would precipitate subsequently. it's history repeats itself. Look at what's happening in Palestine and Israel. Did the Hamas realize what they would do would precipitate in what's happened? History oftentimes is easy to look back retrospectively, but at the time I think the ordinary person didn't understand. And so when the boat arrived into Rathmullen,
Okay, our link is frozen there. We'll see if it returns with Dr. Joe Kelly, because there are so many questions that remain unanswered. But there seems to be a connection issue there. I'll try and bring Joe back in here just to see if we can just to wrap up that conversation, because we do. He's got a lot to do this morning, as do we. Right, okay, that's failed. We might have to return to that another time. If you've anything you want to say, 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts, give us a call on 074 91 25,000. And by the way, you can send your voice notes, as you can, as this listener did, as it relates to parking. Have a listen to this.
I was in Dunnes Stores a couple of weeks ago in Letterkenny with my mum, who's in a wheelchair. Couldn't get disabled parking. They were all taken up by people with no discs in. I went into Dunnes and asked who was looking after the car park, and I was told that it was a private owned company and they were located upstairs beside Paco. I went across the car park upstairs, could not find anybody to come in, couldn't find anybody to speak to about this, had to park in a normal car park and had trouble like the lady before, had to pull forward, couldn't get my mum out in the wheelchair, too tight. But nobody is supervising the disabled car parks in Dunnes, and it's an ongoing thing. It hasn't been the first time that it happened to me, so I just think it needs to be a lot more supervised.
Yeah, indeed. It is, I think, a little bit complicated in private car parks. But anyway, that's one listener's view there. Send your voice notes on that issue or any issue to 086 60 25,000 on WhatsApp. You open up a message to Highland Radio, 086 60 25,000, as I mentioned, and you hold down the little microphone. Have your say, lift off your finger, and it's sent. Okay, back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Are you a self-assessed income taxpayer? Use Ross Revenue's online service to pay and file online by Wednesday, November 15th. If you are not yet registered for Ross, do so today at revenue.ie. Avoid a surcharge, interest, penalties and a possible tax audit. Don't miss the November 15th deadline. Pay and file on time.
Hi, Tommy Bow here. Get in store to check out my new 15 Kings clothing collection, available in premium gents outfitters nationwide and at 15kings.com.
New this week at Home Store and More. All Christmas tree lights are half price. That's right, half price. Save €35 on 1,000 LED cluster lights, or save an amazing €50 on 2,000 LED cluster lights. Let our half-price Christmas tree lights add a Christmas twinkle to your home. But better hurry, because when all our half-price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Bhá leat an chéad céim eile ghlacha dulcharm bheithe? Ag Ollscoil Heicnoliaachta in Atlantic is féidir linn ceiriúla. Round go bhreis is céad cuasa, agus feile muna ceanna rís an elam holúpa. Có cólachtí creidúnathe in an nó, I dachas, dara, inaltóireacht, technoliacht, óliacht agus sláinte. Ó ghear chóirsaí go máisteachta, déan stadair go part-timesere I dímpleacht feilime salúpa, atá darach an a bheith arúnach ditse. Déan irtas anis ag atu.ie/flexible. ATU, Berber na skillna tá uit le seasamh amach.
Homeowners, it's time to unlock incredible savings on your energy bills. Efficient Renewables is here to reduce your energy consumption, say goodbye to skyrocketing costs and hello to renewable energy solutions. With no VAT on solar panels and the generous grants for both solar panels and heat pumps, see these innovative systems in action in our state-of-the-art showroom in Newton Cunningham today. Contact Efficient Renewables on 074 97 08320.
Santa Claus speaking.
It's me, Santa, your trusty elf. I've got an urgent message from Cooney's Christmas shop.
Oh, my golly goodness. What's happening at Cooney's?
Well, Santa, they've gone all out this year. Their Christmas decor is bigger and better than ever.
Visit Cooney's Christmas shop, Letterkenny Retail Park, and feel the magic of Christmas. Santa approved.
Now, just pop the stamp on the top corner. There.
Here, Mum?
Yep. Good job.
Yay!
What's happening?
Look, it's snowing.
There's Tin Man in the garden.
Whoa.
He's with.
No way!
Ho, ho, ho.
Santa!
The magic of Christmas all begins with a card. Get 2 free cards and 4 free stamps when you buy a Christmas stamp booklet. An Post, for your world. T's and C's apply.
We are joined on the programme now for our item, a regular item here in the programme. Don't know what it's called. Dear Greg, Caroline calls it, but I'm starting to embrace it anyway. Keely Taverner is a psychotherapist, author and coach and joins us back on the show. Keely, how are you getting on? Good morning to you.
Easy, Greg. Not too bad. How are you?
Same. Yeah, that's it. Dragging the devil by the tail. Let me ask you, what is... Keely, are you there?
Absolutely, I'm here. I'm back again.
I thought you tripped over. There's something going on, particularly with matters of the heart, isn't it? Because a lot of us are sensible people, and we think we've got a good grasp of life, and we can operate well in a work environment, and we can parent, and we can be really responsible and deal with life challenges, and then something romantically props up or isn't working for us, and we unravel. What's going on there?
Well, we place a great emphasis on our intimate relationships. We want our intimate relationships to complete us and to totally fulfill us. And that is not healthy, and that's not wise. And that's one of the reasons why we've also been Disneyfied. We also hope that, the man on the noble steed will come and save our lives. And often when that doesn't happen, it can be very difficult for people because they've often pinned their hopes on intimate relationships, completing them and fulfilling them.
So do too many of us then seek perfection when really perfection in any element of life doesn't really fit, and we're becoming less tolerant and too quick to move on, or whatever it might be? Is there an issue there that when you mentioned Disneyfied, that's what sort of made me go to that question, that we just seek perfection?
I think we seek completion. We think
right?
That by having the right person and then going through the stages, kids, house, that will fulfill us. There's an emphasis on a partner to complete and make us happy. And as such, we don't take responsibility for our own happiness, pursuing the passions of our heart. And we assume, it's a bit like people say, when you're going to settle down, as if to say people in relationships embody the art of perfection and wholeness. That's not necessarily true. And so remember, from an attachment perspective, and this is something that I get all my couples to do, is to do a questionnaire to look at their attachment styles so that they're clear about, well, if I'm secure and my partner's avoidant, this is also shows up in terms of the dynamics between us. Look, mummy and daddy issues show up, and we may put disproportionate responsibility on somebody else to fulfill our dreams, to keep us safe. And as such, when they fall short, as we all do, that becomes cataclysmic for people.
All right, so if that is the case, then if maybe you haven't been in a relationship before, or you're between relationships, if you don't feel you have your own ducks in a row emotional, like you have some level of contentment, sort of an emotional independence, should you stave off maybe getting into a serious relationship? Now, obviously, we don't plan these things from time to time, but is that where you need to sort of work on yourself to get yourself to a certain level of emotional contentment before getting into a serious relationship, hoping the next person will plug the gaps?
Absolutely. But for some people, it's intolerable for them to be with themselves. Some people don't like themselves. So the notion of being alone without anybody is quite cataclysmic for them. So they have to distract themselves and will quickly get into another relationship and another relationship in order to circumnavigate doing the inner work, which is not, I'm not here to say it's easy or skippity. Like, it can be tough, but you avoid it at your peril because it will show up again, especially if you end up in abusive relationships. If you end up giving your all and you constantly end up in these one-way dynamics, whether it's financial.
But why do people do that repeatedly, Keela? You often hear, people talk about, I go for a type and it's a bad boy type, or I don't know what the female opposite to that is, and maybe the good guy or the good woman doesn't excite them. Is that's obviously a personal deficiency there that's not being fixed by going for these people, is it?
Well, I would say that actually the ambition is to fix others. One of the ambitions, unconscious ambition, is to fix others.
Okay.
And if I love enough, do enough, go above and beyond enough, this person will see my value, they'll see my worth, and they'll love me and appreciate me. But all the while, they're kind of often functioning from their childhood wounds, unconsciously and disproportionately given in relationships. And that then, compounded by a lack of self-worth, means that they may get to a point where when abuse kicks in, if their value is purely externally derived from somebody else, then that can also begin to, and if they think that by being nice to someone and keep giving, that will surely give them what they're looking for, they get in a really sticky situation, whether it's taking out finance, credit cards, mortgages, business, signing for, like, it can get really sticky because we're looking for something that we've never had.
All right, let's get some questions if that's all right. I dated a guy for 9 months. He was a narcissist, but I ignored all the red flags. We eventually ended, and 2 weeks later he started dating. 1 second now, there's the red flags, because we do know Keely has a particular thing for narcissism. We eventually ended, and 2 weeks later he started dating and is now in a relationship doing all the same things I asked him to do, and I'm finding it difficult to move on. So he was a nasty piece of work with this person. Now he's Prince Charming with the next person, and the first person struggling to move on, and they want help.
Well, firstly, I'd be keen to understand, how does she know what he's up to? Are you following on socials? Are you looking at WhatsApp status updates? Are you looking at WhatsApp pictures? Because sometimes you're not being kind to yourself. You're actually re-traumatizing yourself. So we need a phone audit to work out where you're following.
How are you accessing that info? Why are you punishing yourself if it's by choice?
There you go. And sometimes we don't want to take responsibility for that. If you've got friends who leak or always telling you, oh, he's off with Barbara now, then maybe actually, you know what, that relationship's been difficult, Barbara, it's not helpful to me. So there's a certain amount of taking responsibility you need to take for yourself. Additionally, when narcissistic individuals go on to the next person, they'll be under a whole process of seduction. And that is a wonderful place to be. That the individual who's been jilted would have experienced that. That's when you think you found the love of your life. So, whilst that can be uncomfortable, firstly, it's a part of the seduction process. And in due course, they would highly likely to experience what you've experienced. So often when I think about my exes who's gone on to others, I know they're more like, we have the same traits. They'll often be empathic, probably have self-esteem issues, overgive, don't advocate for themselves. And so they go for a particular type. And so once that seduction process is over and they're hooked in, that's when it usually begins to...
And it's clear that the person who messaged us is harping back to the good parts. They were with them they were with this guy for 9 months. He was a narcissist. There were red flags all over the place, but something is still, resonating with them in their chest. But so presumably they've filtered out all the crap and all the nonsense, and there's some emotion of positive experiences and all the good stuff he's probably doing for Barbara that they're holding on to.
Well, absolutely. But you also have to understand that seduction process is pretty intense. And like I said, if you're following them on socials, they have a tendency to deliberately post, knowing it gets under your skin. The key really is you need to understand what he tapped to inside of you. Because remember, they can put us up and they can bring us down. And usually that can be our daddy issues. If we've got unresolved daddy issues, if you didn't feel valued or appreciated, there's links back. So you get curious. What was the hook? Mine made me feel really special. He made me feel really important. And that wasn't normal in my life. I've often been overlooked. So I had to get curious. That's the gift of dating a narcissist. The gift of dating a narcissist is what you can take from it.
And what they can exploit, because you're a gift to the narcissist, because they see those character traits that they can exploit to their ends.
Absolutely.
Right. 16 years ago, I met a great girl. We've got 2 children. She's a brilliant mother and homemaker, but I just don't fancy or love her anymore. I don't want to break up our family home, but I find myself scrolling under a false name on Tinder. I think she feels the same. I think she feels the same, but neither of us are brave enough to say it out loud. Help.
These are the times for the difficult conversations about where the relationship has got to. Not always easy, but often if you don't have the conversation, I don't know what will happen. They pick up your phone one day and then they'll see that you're Alfie. Anyhow, let's think of a name for Alfie online in his online persona. So you can avoid it. It's a difficult conversation to have, and I think it's worthy of one where, as ever, you go and see potentially a couples therapist to begin to talk about, the dynamics. It feels like it's become lackluster. Who knows? You may want to have it. You may want to try. You may not even be having all these important signs. If you're having intimacy, sex, if that's all come off the agenda and it's just 9 to 5, you will end up drifting. And it sounds like if you're both there, it's noteworthy of a conversation.
They're only deferring it, aren't they? Because that could end up being, sounds to me like a very, very messy breakup. Whereas a conversation, who's to say where it might lead to a resolution of the situation in a positive way either. And that could be staying together or splitting up, but putting it off and sneaking behind the back on Tinder, that's only going to end up, it's coming down the line, a messy one.
It's gonna get met. Who wants to hear that? Or like somebody heard or saw you out with Gillian, and like it and then it just gets if the fact that they've called in means that they're curious, it's not a comfortable conversation to have. But I would suggest, people come to me for as couples, not always to work on being a couple, but sometimes it's to end a relationship. Sometimes it is to have a difficult conversation with someone. So couples therapy isn't always about 20 sessions, let's stick together. It can be about saying, our relationships hit the buffers. I'm not feeling fulfilled and I'm tempted to start going online, and I wouldn't want to do that to you. So I'm going to be brave and, to have a difficult conversation. I want to use this space for a difficult conversation. Can be a really beautiful thing. Yeah,
but there could be the situation too that someone wants to eat their cake and still have it, in that there's plenty in there, the house, the access to the children, maybe nice cars because there's 2 incomes or what have you. And is it that they don't really give up and pursue other things? You know what I mean? You have to really you'd have to really dig down deep and find out, what's keeping you there?
Well, but then the reality is, right, if you circumnavigate it and then it gets heard on the grapevine that you're dating XYZ, it gets messy. Look, running two homes is expensive. And sometimes, look, couples nowadays, they do stay together for financial reasons. They're not together, separate lives, but they're staying, like, there are ways to work through. But, and it depends on your learning. Like, are you proactive or reactive?
Yeah, it's unfortunate anyway that they seem to be coming to the end of something.
It happens. Relationships, can just hit the buffers, and
they can be saved as well, and that's what people can. Obviously, as we're doing it now, Keely's located in England, but you can access our services remotely, like we are doing right now. And I think a lot of people might see the benefit of having a third party in that conversation. Keely Taverna is a psychotherapist, author, and coach, and be reached how, Keely?
You can find me at www.keyforchange.com. I also the W
stuff. I know it's like it's 2009 or something.
It's the 90s.
What's going on? The Google doesn't even have an address bar anymore. The search bar, the address bar, all the one thing.
You know why? Because I see it. When I say it, I see it in my head rather than just say keyforchange.com.
That's how I remember people's names too. I paint little pictures for myself. All right, Keely, thank you. Keely Taverna there.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Finding a new car takes time. Searching, researching, comparing, test driving, shortlisting. It doesn't happen overnight, but 12 days should do it. Between November 1st and 12th, the 12 Days of Ford sales event can save you up to a whopping €5,000 on the Ford Kuga. With further offers for 2024 available on Puma and Focus when you finance with Ford Options. No rush, but do get a move on. Ford, bring on tomorrow. T's and C's apply at participating dealers until November 12th. Visit Ford.ie for details.
The Ardra Matchmaking Weekend from Friday, November 10th. A great weekend of fun in Ardra. Visit Matchmaker's Den or join in the fun and sing along in Ardra all weekend. All details on ardra.ie. That's the Ardra Matchmaking Weekend from Friday, November 10th.
Santa's elves, listen up. If a kid's playhouse is on your little one's wish list this Christmas, Dealside Garden Furniture has you covered. Explore our range in various colours and sizes, including the Dreamy Barbie Dreamhouse Pink. Orders close on December 2nd. Find us on social media, Dealside Garden Furniture, or call 087 11 24 766.
We're turning Black Friday red in the Virgin Media Playhouse. Get 1 gig superfast reliable broadband for just €45 a month for 12 months with no activation fee. And when you add TV for €15 a month, an Xbox Series S is your Red Friday gift. Get your play underway with 1 gig broadband and TV for €60 a month. Switch in store or at virginmedia.ie. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. Terms and conditions apply. See virginmedia.ie. Offer ends the 29th of November 2023.
Go the extra mile with Volvo Electric. Visit McGinley Motors for Volvo Open Week, November 13th to 18th, and get the full experience of the Volvo XC40 and C40 Recharge, each with an extended electric range of up to 570 kilometers. If you order one of these models during Volvo Open Week, you'll receive a complimentary metallic paint upgrade. Find out more about our exclusive offers at volvocast.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time's 28 minutes past 11. And really pleased to welcome back onto the programme Phil Coulter. Good morning, Phil. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Okay, the connection isn't... It will resolve itself, hopefully, Phil. We're speaking to Phil Coulter as he embarks on his 4-score and then. It's a 23-date nationwide tour, and it's coming to On Greenon Theatre in Letterkenny. Phil, how excited are you about this tour?
Well, I always look forward to. We do these national tours every autumn. We're doing well. I think they keep adding to them, Greg. I think the last count was like 39, something like that.
Oh wow!
We finish on New Year's Eve in Bantry. So I think, like Santa Claus, Greg, I'm going to be sleeping for the first half of January.
Fantastic. Tell us about the show Filter and what the audience can look forward to. Phil, sorry.
Well, it's a kind of a retrospective, it's called 4-score and then. So it's looking back on a career in music, which is I think the last count was like 56, 57 years. So in terms of the show, it's the song, some of the songs which kind of choose themselves, Greg, as you would imagine. I mean, I couldn't do a show without singing the likes of The Town I Love So Well, or Steal Away, or The Old Man, or indeed currently Ireland's Call seems to be the most favourite. So those kind of songs. Luckily, I have enough of those in my locker that we can tell the stories behind the songs. It's a kind of relaxed evening where I chat a lot about the career, about the characters that I've encountered. Everybody from Sinead O'Connor to Luke O'Kelly to the Dubliners to God knows who, and we have unearthed some great archive footage. So, for example, so we have a big screen behind the piano, and we have, for example, archive of Luke Kelly talking about the first time he heard "Scorn Not His Simplicity." We have archive of Billy Connolly talking of our various adventures. Sinead O'Connor. We have some excellent vintage archive, which just kind of helps to set the songs in some kind of context.
It also creates a wonderful experience that goes far beyond the music and gives it context, and you actually have the person behind it with that lived experience playing it, talking about it. I mean, it really is a remarkable opportunity for people, and the challenge is what to include, Phil, such as the back catalogue, and the amount of stories and achievements that you've had over your career, because you could probably do a 6-7 hour show and still not include everything.
You're 100% right, Greg. You're 100% right. I mean, afterwards, there's always a difficulty, when you're putting a set together, what to leave in, what to leave out, what to put in that's fresh from the last time you played, we're Letterkenny next week. So I have to look and see, what did we play in Letterkenny last time we were there, and make sure we freshened it up with like different tracks, different stories, whatever. But then inevitably afterwards, when you're chatting to people that say, oh, you didn't play Puppet on a String, or you didn't play Congratulations, or you didn't play Elvis's My Boy, or you didn't do this, that, and the other. But you're 100% right. If I did them all, it would be a week-long residency in the Green Onion,
Exactly. You'd be doing what you two are doing over in the Dome in Las Vegas, and who's
talking of which, I was very flattered when I saw the clip of Bono singing Ireland's Call as he was going on stage on the day we were playing the All Blacks. I thought, well, this is looking good. Maybe Bono's going to do an album of Phil Coulter songs after this.
That's what I was going to. It's funny you should mention that, because I was going to ask, as an artist, as a producer, as a creator, you talk of Bono singing that song, but there's tens of thousands of people. And I remember at the time there was this controversy about adopting this new anthem for the 32 county rugby team, and now it's an integral part of it. How does that feel, Phil? I mean,
that's you can't quantify, Greg. That's a good question, because it's one which has been asked many times, and people are curious. Listen, as a songwriter, you get if you're fortunate enough to get like records in the charts and hits, you've got different kind of highs. Get a number one on the charts, of course, that's a high. Get Elvis Presley to sing one of your songs, that's a high. Get one of the big orchestras to play one of your melodies, that's a high. But when you get when a song passes into the kind of public domain, when in the stadium in Lansdowne Road, you see a packed house singing Ireland's Call, or when from the Stade de France, when you hear Ireland's Call, that's an entirely different feeling. That's a nice sense that I suppose it's a sense of legacy, Greg. We feel that when I've fallen off the perch, they're still going to be singing this song. That's a good feeling. That's a good feeling. I get the same thing from. The Town I Love So Well was never a million-selling song. It was never like number one on the chart. But there's a song which has embedded itself into the public awareness. That's so to hear that song again. We did a wonderful last year when I was given the freedom of the city in Derry, which meant a lot. Obviously, there are awards and then there are awards, be they Grammy Awards or gold albums, whatever. But to get an award like that from your own people in your own place was a bit special. But the following day, we did this epic sing-along where like 3,000 people turned up in Edmonton Square on a drizzly Saturday afternoon to sing The Town I Love So Well. Those kind of events, that kind of sense of having a song that has passed into people's awareness, song that is now part of the landscape. That certainly is a much more heartwarming feeling.
It is, and it's even beyond that, because it's intertwined with people's love of their parents, their family, a grandparent, their partner. It's forever intertwined with them, and I think that's just such an amazing achievement. And you talked of your legacy, which you continue to write right now. It's not just yours, because your legacy's intertwined with Sinead O'Connor, as you mentioned, with Elvis Presley, Elvis Costello, more contemporary artists such as Lisa Stansfield, Van Morrison. Do you know what I mean? Your name is amongst all of Sinead O'Connor. I think I mentioned, as you mentioned, I mean, you were nominated for an incredibly prestigious award for your work with Sinead, who we very sadly lost. And then you talk of Cliff Richard, Luke Kelly, Cilla Black, who's going viral on TikTok at the moment for surprise, surprise. Do you know what I mean? But your legacy's intertwined with all of these people's legacies. It's really just, it's just really a treat to even be able to speak to you, Phil. I hold you in such high regard.
Well, that's very kind of you, Greg. I've been very fortunate. You know, I have. When I've been asked that question about, you know, my staying power, that I'm still doing it after all these years, that question was asked, how do you do that? I said, well, the simple answer is I turn up for work on Monday morning. You know, this is what I do. This is my job. It doesn't mean that I could walk on water. It doesn't mean that I'm entitled to anything. I mean, you know, because we sell out one tour like last year doesn't mean that I'm entitled to think that it's going to be sold out this tour. You know, that's one of a younger generation of aspiring performers and talents. That's something which kind of irritates me, that sense of entitlement. You know, talented people who believe that because they're talented, the world owes them a living is the greatest fan.
Yes,
buys you in the game. Hard work and the stickability that keeps you in there.
Yes, but
what's my greatest?
Sorry, Phil. The line's breaking up a little bit on us, Phil. You were going to talk about your greatest achievement. Quickly say that whilst we have the line.
Yeah, I was asked that in America just last month. My greatest. That's an easy one to answer. My greatest achievement in the music business is to be still in the music business after all these years.
Indeed. But do you know, some of the greatest artists with the greatest longevity have that attitude that you have and spend an awful lot of time trying, like Daniel O'Donnell springs to mind, trying to tell younger artists, you know, that is the philosophy and that's what will work for you. Phil, listen, thank you so much for speaking with us. We really appreciate it. We're getting really early access in your tour on November 16th, which is next week, because the opening day is the Civic Centre. That being said, you've added so many dates, my list could be out of date. But I'm going to remind listeners as a bid farewell to you of when they can catch you here locally. Phil, thank you so very much for your time.
It's always a pleasure to chat on Highland Radio.
Take care, Phil Coulter. Thank you very much indeed. Phil is in On Grianon Theatre Letterkenny on Thursday, the 16th of November 23. I wonder if Caroline buy me a ticket for that. I think I'd go to that. I'd love to see that. Right, okay, shall we have a bit of Phil?
Steal away, let's steal away. No reason left to stay. For me and you, let's start anew, and darling, steal away. Let's steal away and chase our dream and hope they never find us. The dream days, the empty nights, we leave them all behind us and steal away. Let's steal away. No reason left to stay. For me, let's start anew, and darling, steal away.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Larkins of New Mills, open 12 till 8 p.m. every day to sit in or take away. Freshly made food served all day. Let our family look after yours. Call 074 9126697. Larkins of New Mills, only 4 minutes from Letterkenny Town.
Exciting news from Nissan at iMotors, introducing our special 2-for-1 offers for a limited time. Purchase any 2-for-1 Nissan, including the Duke Petrol and Hybrid, the Qashqai e-Power Hybrid and the X-Trail e-Power Hybrid, and receive a complimentary 2025 Nissan at no extra cost. It's a 2-for-1 deal you don't want to miss. Or you can choose a €2,000 bumper trade-in offer. Also 3.9% finance options or 0% finance for the Nissan Leaf, our eco-friendly electric vehicle. Don't miss out. Visit iMotors today in Letterkenny and Malin.
Hi, Kate Appleby here. Just wanted to let you all know my exciting new autumn shoe collection is available nationwide in all good shoe stores. kateappleby.com. Hope you enjoy my shoes.
Enhance your skills with SafeTech's part-funded training programs. At SafeTech, we provide courses including first aid, roadworks, people moving and handling, confined spaces, electrofusion and machinery training for Ireland and UK sites. Also online programs such as water hygiene, construction supervisors, safety reps and much more. If you have a group for training, SafeTech will go to you. Contact SafeTech today at safetech.ie and take the first step towards upskilling and safety compliance.
Donegal Intermediate Champions Downings entered the Ulster Club Championship at the quarter-final stage this Sunday in Cavan. They play Ballyhaise at Breffni Park with throw-in at 2:15 p.m. There will be full match commentary here on Highland as the men from Downings chase a place in the provincial semi-final. Highland's coverage of Downings in the Ulster Championship is in association with Voices Centre at Carrigard. Stay local and support local.
In studio with me now, we have two guests. Patsy Ferry of the Letterkenny Youth and Family Services. Good morning to you, Patsy.
Morning, Greg.
Thank you so much for calling in. And also Margaret McAteer, a teacher at Errigal College. Hi, Margaret.
Hi, Greg. Thanks a million for having us in this morning.
No
Looking
problem,
forward to talking
Margaret.
with you.
You are. Well, you said I shouldn't speak to you first.
I did say that, so over to Patsy.
Okay, thanks so much, both of you, talking in. We're talking ahead of the LYFS Errigal College Parents Association fundraiser in aid of brain cancer research. It's a coffee morning, craft sale, pampering and wake up. There's a raffle, there's gift bags, and it takes place on the 16th of November at 10:30 a.m. at the LYFS. And Patsy, this is something you would be keen to be involved with because of your life experience.
Yeah, we have a knitting group and a craft group in Lives who meet every Thursday morning, and for the last 5-6 years we've every year we've done a different charity. Last year we done 42 blankets and we donated them to the hospice and the Bummellands, and we had a big launch and we went to Errigal College with them. So this year when we were deciding what we would do, we decided to do a fundraiser for brain cancer research because I had lost 3 members of my family to brain cancer.
Unbelievable. Your sister, your niece Eva is one of those, isn't she? She was diagnosed at just 41 and passed away at 45.
Yeah.
Dennis, he was diagnosed at 48 and passed away at the age of 50. And your sister Mary as well, who, 50, I beg your pardon, your sister Mary diagnosed at 58 and died at 60. That's an awful cross for you to bear, Patsy.
It was a huge impact on the family, as you can imagine, and because of the link between, like, my sister got it first, and then my niece got it, and then my cousin all on my mother's side, and we're still looking for the link.
Yeah.
We're looking,
that leads us on to the research, because when we talk of cancer, we know there's a myriad of cancers, very sadly. Very rarely do we talk of brain cancer. When we talk of conditions of the brain, it might be an aneurysm or, a growth or what have you. It's very rare, and I'm not really sure if I have on this programme. We've talked about an awful lot, spoken about brain cancer. So what do we know about the areas of in terms of research? Sorry, Patsy.
There's of all the cancers, it's one of the least research. Now, I don't want anyone to think out there that if they've got brain cancer that the final, is death and because it happened to
there
us.
are 70 different brain cancers and they're going to affect people in different ways. Yeah,
and they all affect people in different ways. But unfortunately for our family, it wasn't positive. So I started looking at the research. There is very little research done compared to other cancers. Like we're at screening in a lot of cancers. There's nothing like that in brain. At the minute, there's one piece of research being done in Cork University Hospital, which is the outcomes after the operation, how they can be changed and improved. But apart from that, there's very, very little research.
Yeah, and hopefully loads of money raised that will go towards in that regard. Yeah,
in that regard, and it might improve the outcomes for people. And they're always the government is not funding greatly in the UK. Less than 1% of their funding for research goes to brain cancer. So I'm sure ours are the same. It's very hard to find a figure, an accurate figure on what is actually being spent.
Yeah.
But there's just 2 charities, and it's not something that our family is big into fundraising.
Everyone's different. I get exactly what you're saying.
But we have to do something positive out because we've had such tragedy. We have to do something positive.
Yeah. And do you know what too, as well as it being a great day in raising funds, we're talking about brain cancer. Okay. Yes. And also we're remembering Eva, Dennis and Mary.
Yeah.
So there's a few prongs to this, isn't there?
There's a few prongs to it, and it's all positive, and we have to take as much positivity out of it as possible.
Exactly. We have to in life, don't we?
And the group are fantastic. They're amazing at what they do. The knitting group and their crafts are just amazing. So it's worth people's while coming along and buying. It might be gifts for Christmas or whatever, but they're absolutely
and they're all
amazing.
unique. Presumably, all the stuff
all
is unique.
All unique. Exactly. They're all handmade, so they're never going to be repeated. And there's a huge amount of crafts there for people to buy.
I'm looking around me here and I don't see any with you.
We'll bring them on the 16th. Actually, you could come and visit us on the 16th of November in Lives and purchase some of those crafts.
I've never been that purchase.
Sorry, did I mention purchase? We will donate them to you.
You will not, Leah. You will not. Margaret, tell us your role in all of this and what you want to talk about.
Thank you, Greg, for the opportunity. Well, my role, just to go back a little bit, I'm the homeschool liaison coordinator, homeschool community liaison coordinator in Errigal College. Previous to that, I worked as a music teacher for almost 20 years in the school. So as a homeschool community liaison, my remit is working with parents in the school, and it's a lovely job and a very privileged position. And key to working with the parents is to empower and enrich and engage parents with community activities and with school activities. And luckily enough for me, last year I had the great privilege of walking in the door at Life's with 3 of my parents, Joanne and Maria and Alina. And we walked in the door to Life's. I don't know if you've ever been there, Greg.
No,
but
I haven't.
It's really and truly the most warmest, welcoming environment. And there's a buzz of activity. Like they're working so hard for all the community. And it's just a gorgeous place to be. And we were invited to take part in the knitting group. Now, I'm not a knitter. And I've been working really, really hard trying to learn. And I'm not making great progress. I meant to bring in the work I've been doing so far. Not impressive.
Might not be the best way to sell this event if you bring in your...
But the good news is... the good news is I'm not donating anything. So, but the parents
But you donate your enthusiasm, your support and
Absolutely.
your time.
And the parents, along with the knitting group that's been well established, as Patsy said, for the last 5 years, our parents in Errigal College have just taken to it, and they love going down on a Thursday from approximately 11 to 12, slightly after 12, and we sit, we knit, we sort out all the problems of the world.
What does LIFE stand for, LYFS?
Letterkenny Youth and Family Service.
Okay, simple as that.
But we've changed now to Local Youth and Family Service because our remit used to be in Letterkenny, but now we're all over the county.
Love it. Brilliant.
It's quite similar to a resource centre, but we're not a resource centre. We work a lot. We find our work now is lots of families having difficulties with housing and all the problems
Supporting
of the day.
people with
and
all
I know
the problems that we know.
You were speaking about neurodiversity the other day. We do a lot of programs with neurodiverse.
Oh, that's right. It was a gentleman, I think it was that texted in. Is it that event that's on Thursdays is hosted at Life's, is it?
No, we do the parent programs.
Right, okay. I beg your pardon. My mistake.
And one of the parent
But it's
programs,
good to see there's multiple things then happening in that area as well. Yeah, okay. Brilliant stuff.
And actually, again, with regard to the Parents Plus programme, we're linked into that as well in Errigal College through the homeschool. So,
Patsy, do you remember she said she didn't want to do much speaking? And
then do you remember?
I remember that, yeah. But she's good.
Stop it.
Hey, come here. It's gonna be a nice. It's gonna be a nice morning. The craft sale. That's the knitted goods.
Yeah.
All original. All for a great cause. And do you know what? Sometimes, what do you get someone for Christmas or a present that you feel they have everything, right? You can say
like
this
most
is.
people now have everything.
Yeah. So you can say this is handmade for you, by the way, and by proxy, you've donated to brain cancer research.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it?
It's a win-win.
You know, it is a win-win because it's thoughtful.
Coffee there as well, and some of the ladies might donate some
buns.
Cakes.
Are you making a cake at least, Margaret? We're not taking any hats or scarves.
Dear, I'm going to do everything. I've decided now I'm going to cook buns. No, not cook, bake buns. I'll bake buns for the day. How's that?
And pampering and makeup too.
Makeup too, yes. We have a lot of volunteers. We have some volunteers from the school who are going to do the makeup. Yeah. And we did have a previous pampering morning, which was hugely successful.
Good. Yeah.
So we have another one, and you can come make a donation for the pampering, and most people get their makeup done, and it's as good as you've come out of that.
Yeah, straight out of the sun.
And if you don't mind, Greg, I just would like to mention the teacher in Errigal College that's going to bring the students, Sarah Quigg is her name, and she has a lovely little makeup club at lunchtime on a Monday and a Tuesday.
Oh, wow, okay.
It's fantastic. We have a lot of clubs during the lunchtime in the school, yeah. But the makeup club's really a successful little club, and she has lots of students coming, but she has 3 in particular that are going to go and do pampering. So one is Eva Muller, Matilda Cassidy, and Adelina Darry.
Brilliant.
3 secondary
They
students.
are the experts. Excellent. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
And also a raffle. So presumably, hopefully, you've had some prizes and stuff donated. So thanks to the generosity of those people.
Quite a number of prizes donated, and too many to mention because I definitely forget one, and then but we have plenty of prizes, and there are hampers of makeup, and there's hampers of from a butcher's, and all sorts.
Sounds to me like it's a nice little way to treat yourself as well on a is it Thursday?
Thursday,
it is Thursday,
next
so it's
Thursday.
today.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think it's going to be a lovely thing, and I think it's for a great reason. It's great to remember Eva, Dennis, and Mary, who very sadly passed away because of brain cancer, and this is a fundraiser to support research into brain cancer, because as we've said, even by British standards, 1% of funding is in this area, so we can only imagine, even if it's 1% in this country, it's going to be a much lower figure. Right, okay, so Patsy, thank you so much for joining us. You still have fun? It sounds like it's going to be fun.
Absolutely, it's fantastic.
Of course, everything that happens in life is fun.
Good, that's exactly
Actually,
what it
we have
should
a
be.
community bus, in Lives, and Gary Glennon has it. Now, up until recently, it was a kind of a banger. Is it okay to say that? It was an old bus. It was an old bus. And he very kindly gave it to me, and I brought parents to Ards and to Rathmullen, and I brought students last year to the zoo in Belfast.
You did?
I did, because I have got a driver's licence.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So lives have been such...
You don't even...
You don't want to know. Don't much more. But lives have been such a great support to us. Like, and our kind of motto is to bring the school out to the community and bring the community into the school.
Lovely stuff.
And honestly, the relationship we have is powerful.
Brilliant, sounds good.
And just on that note of the community is always welcome in Lives, and we'll do our very best for people that come in through that door.
Yeah. All right. And even just to have someone to listen. Not everything can be fixed, but literally just to say you get
and
it. And
sometimes listening is the most important thing.
It really is, especially if you feel trapped in the situation they're in, because we all feel a bit like that sometimes. Lives, by the way, is number 1, New Line Road. The number is 074 9123 078, and I think you can get a sense that it sounds like a wonderful thing to be a part of. We want to thank Patsy Ferry of the Letterkenny Youth and Family Services, local
Local
Youth and Family Services, and also Margaret, who is the connect between the Youth and Family Services and the college, Argo College. It's been lovely having the two of you in. It's lifted my spirits for today. We'll be back with the weather after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Seasonal loans now available for Christmas. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Are you a self-assessed income taxpayer? Use Ross Revenue's online service to pay and file online by Wednesday, November 15th. If you are not yet registered for Ross, do so today at revenue.ie. Avoid a surcharge, interest, penalties and a possible tax audit. Don't miss the November 15th deadline. Pay and file on time.
New this week at Home Store and More. All Christmas tree lights are half price. That's right, half price. Save €35 on 1,000 LED cluster lights, or save an amazing €50 on 2,000 LED cluster lights. Let our half-price Christmas tree lights add a Christmas twinkle to your home. But better hurry, because when all our half-price Christmas tree lights are gone, they're gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More, or visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
This Christmas at Super Value, we have great offers to help you share the magic, like Cadbury Milk Tray 360 gram, now half price. Selected Cadbury, Nestle and Mars selection boxes, any 3 for €6. Selected Pepsi, Club and 7-Up 12-pack cans, $7.50 each. Plus, get money off vouchers every week on the Real Rewards app too. Share the magic this Christmas with Super Value.
Exploring your university choices? Come along to our ATU Donegal Open Day, Thursday, 9th of November from 9:30am till 2pm on our Letterkenny campus. With 10 department talks, guided campus tours and special guest speaker, the study coach, Dr. Sean Lally, joining us on the day. You can find out about all our programme offerings and see the amazing facilities ATU Donegal has to offer. Register today at atu.ie/Donegal Open Day.
From the luxurious to the sustainable. Supporting Irish makers also means choosing quality that's designed to stand the test of time. In a world of fast fashion and disposable items, it's the lasting connection we make with these beautiful products that finds a special place in our hearts. Find something you love forever at madelocal.ie. Made local, made to last. Supported by Design and Crafts Council Ireland and me, Lyra.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing oil and HVO biofuel boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, you can trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.ie.
Cool and breezy with sunny spells and scattered blustery showers. Some will be heavy and prolonged and may cause spot flooding. Hail and thunder are possible too. Just want to mention before we go that Imagine Broadband is connecting homes and businesses in Donegal to their high-speed broadband network every day. And for this week only, they're giving one lucky listener the chance to win €1,000 in cash. For your chance to win, simply head to imagine.ie/radio and run a coverage check to see if you can get their high-speed broadband. Terms and conditions do apply. The competition ends on Friday the 10th of November and we'll announce the winner on Jive Time on Monday the 13th of November. So all you have to do to be in with a chance to win €1,000 is go to imagine.ie/radio, check if you can get coverage with Imagine, follow the instructions there, and you're literally, as simple as that, in the hat to win £1,000. OK, back tomorrow morning with Friday's show. We've a cracking Friday panel to discuss all the big stories of the week and what might break overnight and emerge tomorrow. But that's it for today, Thursday. For me, Greg Hughes, Caroline O, who researched and produced, and Shannon working on the show. Have a